We're starting off high.
We can get
I think
two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
trust a human to raise a pack of wolves.
before I would trust a pack of humans to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you.
MIA.
You know, he kind of does his own thing sometimes. It's funny. Like, I know he was planning to be here because he stopped by about 2 hours ago to pick up a camera from me. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
He was here last night.
Right. And that's funny because he missed the video check last week. So, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing.
He's shooting 500 each week.
Right.
It's consistent.
He's just... You know, I just don't expect him to miss the live show, and this is the second time we've had a guest, and he's shown up late.
Yeah.
So how you doing, man? It's been a
I'm
while.
doing great, man. It's been a while, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy to be a part of everything you guys got going on. I watched a few episodes last night and the day before that, and I like what you guys got going on.
So you know we're just a little ridiculous, right? Like
that's great.
We like to pretend like we know what we're talking about sometimes, but most of the time that's not our usual MO. So.
That's life. 50% facts.
You know, it's funny. I told my 5-year-old the other day. I'm like, if you say anything quick enough and confident enough, everybody will believe it.
That's 100% true. 100% true. Interviews, jobs, and anything I've done. As long as you say it like you believe it.
Chances are they will too.
You believe it too. There you go.
Oh man, well it's good to have you. For our audience, T and I coached together back a couple years ago. Coached high school ball together. He and I think we both coached the linebackers there for a little bit.
Yep, you had outsides. I think I had insides.
Yeah, that sounds right. So, so we've known each other for a couple years now. Honestly, haven't seen much of you since we left the school, since that coach retired or resigned or whatever language he used. But it's good to have you back on. We're going to talk a little bit.
I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk a little UFC. We'll see if I can stall a little bit for Mr. Jennings.
That's right up my alley. My UFC, you know, honestly, I haven't really been that into it up until probably about a year ago.
Okay.
I jumped back into it. I trained some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu down in Florida a little bit under a Gracie Academy, and then jumped into it back up here. I've always liked fighting, but just haven't had the time to between football and basketball and the other sports that I follow. But recently, one, it's the only thing on right now.
Right.
Two, something about two guys beating the hell out of each other that's entertaining is more entertaining to me now than ever.
No, I get that. I think for me, honestly, I haven't been a huge fan over the last couple of years. Tail end of college and, when I came back to coaching here in Columbus, there were a couple of guys that were into it, a couple of guys we coached with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got into watching it again for a little while, and I've kind of fallen off over the last couple of years. But to exactly your point, it's the only fucking thing that's on right now.
It is. It is.
So
and
there's not a lot else
it's changed
to...
a little bit. We're kind of in a unique time period where we saw the original UFCs,
Right.
Like the 1s and 2s with
where it was all
Gracie,
tournaments and
bare knuckles, gi. I mean, it was everything. And then we've seen what it's evolved into. A lot of the younger kids don't know what UFC used to be about.
Right.
I mean, you're talking 3 fights in one night. And now we've got 1 fight per 6 months for a lot more money.
Right, exactly.
But I like the evolution of the game. It's just like the NFL, right? We're making rule changes every year, and they've done the same. So
yeah, and I mean that's the name of the game, right? You got to evolve or die, and I think they've done a good job. And I think I jokingly call, and I mean, I think it's obvious. Like Dana White wants to be the legitimate Vince McMahon. Like, instead of running a sports entertainment empire, like, he wants to run a sport like that. And I think he does a lot to kind of build up those storylines and stuff. And
when you look at what they bought the UFC for, the Furtado brothers, and then what they just sold it for, it's unreal. I think they paid $1 million for it back in the 90s, and they just sold it for a couple billion. So that's a pretty solid turnaround. In a good business investment, and I do like the company that ended up purchasing the UFC. I like that they kept Dana White in there because I think he's a very crucial element to what the UFC has going on. And for better or for worse, some of the fighters hate him, and a lot of the fighters respect him and understand that he's a business guy at heart too.
Right. And I think he understands and respects the sport.
Yeah, and the fighters.
Yeah.
Goodell and his NFL players don't have the relationship that Dana White has with the fighters, which is unique to fighting, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so we're gonna table that one for just a little bit. We'll see if I can. We'll keep texting Mr. Jennings, see if he joins up. But so I talked to you a little bit throughout this morning just via text, and I let you know about the segment we do every week called our Inadvertent Thoughts. So I wanted to check in with you and say if you've got any inadvertent thoughts for the week.
Yeah, I do. I was sitting watching your one of the episodes yesterday, and I started thinking, man, I got to start paying attention to what happens to me on a daily basis. And to me, that is where I'm going to grab the most interesting stuff. And something that happened to me today at work, and it happens damn near every day. I'm sitting there talking to one of my bosses, and we were talking about how big of an idiot another person is that we have to work with for not just doing their job. And I told him, I said, I don't know why I would think that they would do their job. And he said, whenever I feel like I'm disappointed in someone's effort, I realize I need to manage my expectations. So, that resonated well because I went to Burger King the other day. These motherfuckers messed up my order, and I only ordered 2 things, and they messed them both up. And I thought, man, maybe I just need to manage my expectations a little bit. I guess, asking them, hey, maybe just with no onion is too much.
I mean, you're right. That's funny you bring that one up because that's one that the first time I think I ever got a bad review at the company that I work at now, that was exactly what it said. It said your expectations of people are too high.
Totally.
Like, you mean I expect people to do their fucking job? Yeah, I do, and I know what these people are making. Yeah. I know that person's making more than me. They should know how to do their fucking job.
Yeah, totally. I was talking to a guy the other day at work that I thought just based off of our sole conversation, the first conversation I've ever had with this man, I thought there's no way he's making more than $35,000 a year. And he makes more money than I do. Who knew?
That's the word.
Who knew you could get that far being a moron?
Right? No, it's true. Honestly, I think people that are incompetent are the ones that make it to the leadership positions.
Yeah.
Because the theory is that they're not good at the the hard skills, but they're good at managing people, which is complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
if you're really
totally.
good at managing people, and this is what I've kind of said my whole career, like, I treat my professional career the same way I treat my coaching career. Like, I expect to get the most out of the people that are under me, and I expect to be able to get them to reach their potential.
Totally.
And I can understand when somebody doesn't have the hard skills to do something. I can either figure out a way to teach them or help them find a better role for what they're doing.
And if you don't hire morons, you don't have to micromanage.
Right.
I mean, like, at the end of the day, it's all about that hiring process. And sometimes I look at my peers and I think, who the fuck hired you?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Who did you interview with that you made it this far?
Who thought you were a good idea?
Yeah, totally.
I think on that, two fools can agree, so I'll hit you up.
Hey.
Oh,
Who dey?
you had
Joey
me till you
Burrow,
pulled
baby,
the-
Joey Burrow.
You had me till you pulled
Joey
the-
Burrow time.
How'd they do
Hey,
it? I mean, I didn't pay attention at all to the Bengals draft. Like, I know the Bills draft sucked, so I expect them to be terrible.
We've had a lot of shitty years as Bengals fans. I'm not gonna lie. We've had some years where we made playoffs, and everyone's like, "Oh, you guys had years where you won." Yeah, well, going 10-6 isn't great if you lose first round of the playoffs every year.
Right.
You know what I mean? We haven't won a playoff game in over 20-something years. Our organization as a whole is fucking stupid. They don't know what they're doing. But this year we turned the leaf. We spent more this year in the off season on free agent acquisitions than we have in the last 5 years combined. We made so hopefully that shows. I mean, it's hard to argue with it because they did something, and usually every year we don't do anything. So
That's kind of how I felt. That's kind of how I felt about the Bills this year.
manage your fucking expectations, right?
Right. No, that was my
Manage your
thing.
expectations.
Like, the Bills didn't have a first round pick. Fine. Like, they traded it away. But then their second round pick, they take a fucking defensive end, and I'm like, you had like one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL last year. Why the fuck are you getting defensive players?
Yes. If I was adding anything to the Bills team, it wouldn't be defense. It would have been on the offensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're okay at running back. I mean, we're okay. Receivers, we could use some help. And it's whether or not you believe in Josh Allen as a quarterback. And
He's shown flashes, though.
Right. And then he showed flashes in the playoffs last year where he made some really dumb fucking decisions.
Yeah.
He threw in coverage late a couple of times.
Yeah.
And just painful.
I'm more excited about this Bengals draft than I have been in a long time. And when I tell you that I've been the biggest Bengals critic that you can imagine, I've been the biggest Bengals critic. I had to go back and delete a bunch of tweets because I was laying into the front office hard. The first 8 weeks of the season, every day, I made it a point to, while I was taking a shit, to get on Twitter and just blast Duke Hoban and anybody in our front office that's done nothing. I mean, they did absolutely nothing in the offseason last year, and our record shows.
Yeah.
And I don't know how someone can make that amount of money for nothing. I mean, they did nothing.
Right.
We didn't sign A.J. Green. We let Andy Dalton go. I mean, we negotiated no contracts, and we signed no free agents. So literally, that guy got paid to do jack shit for an entire year. I don't know.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah,
man.
But
So
it's a Bengals fan, man. Same thing as being a Browns fan.
right.
They suck too.
Well, I mean, the
always
Bengals, the
will.
Browns, the Bills, we're all not good. I mean, it's been fun that the Bills have been the winningest team out of those 3 for the last couple of years. But
Hey, I have friends that are Bills fans. Bills Mafia I'm tight with those guys. I love them.
Have you been put through a table?
Yeah, absolutely. We went down to a game in Cincinnati and met some dudes from Canada that were Bills fans. And we partied with them more than we did any of the Bengals fans. These guys from Canada came down with giant bottles of Crown Royal and cases of beer, and they were ready to party. A little strange on the accent, but either way, from a football fan perspective, they were blowing the Cincinnati guys out of the water. So we partied with them the whole game. It was actually a pretty good time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Bills fans are they're a trip.
They're fun.
And
They're a lot of fun.
And it's up until at least the last couple of years, or last 2 or 3 years, where they've gotten like decent again. it's been fun going to games anywhere as a Bills fan because the Bills have been so terrible. People are like I remember living in Pittsburgh and going to Bills-Steelers games, and people are like, oh, you're a Bills fan? That's cute. And usually Steelers fans are dicks.
Deep, man. That's the real deal. I'm telling you, man, I get along. And then when the Bengals beat, who was it, the Vikings, or who did we beat for you guys to get into the playoffs?
I think you're right.
I feel like it was. I don't remember who it was. But when we scored that touchdown and watching the Bills locker room in celebration because we won, I just felt closer to them.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I was rooting for them into the playoffs. They made the playoffs, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. They let me down, but, you know.
Well, you know, they at least made it interesting. I mean, it went to OT. Like,
yeah. Totally.
The Bills are they're going to continue to break my heart, and I don't know about this year, but we'll see. Maybe they can start to build something up a little bit.
Hey, I love my Browns fans, though.
Oh,
those
man.
motherfuckers really believe they're going to win the Super Bowl every year. Like, I hear a Bengals fan say Super Bowl, and I laugh it off, and, you know, we all joke about it.
Right.
But the Browns fans, they really believe that shit.
They legit do.
Every year.
It goes, all right, we're going 16-0 this year.
Yeah, totally.
15-1. 14-2.
All
the way. Yeah. We can still make it at 8-8.
Yeah. It's why it is. And then the one guy took his helmet off and the quarterback and tried to kill him. Like, what the fuck? You guys are talking about making the Super Bowl. You got players out here trying to kill other people. What are you talking about?
Right.
That's the #1 draft pick. Your guys' best players trying to kill people on the field. You talk to me about Super Bowl. I can't get on board.
Oh man! So jumping over to my inadvertent, I had a couple of inadvertent thoughts this week. So let me know if you've got another one, and maybe we'll just bounce back and forth
go ahead.
Here. But Taco Bell has been doing a push saying they're bringing back the chalupa. And my inadvertent thought was, fuck that. Bring back the XXL Good Stuff burrito. Oh, man. Taco Bell was my joint back in college because I had one within walking distance of the house.
That dollar menu hits hard at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, man. Fourth meal. That was my shit.
If you're broke and you're hungry, Taco Bell is like, it's like broke plus hungry equals Taco Bell. That's it.
You can't get more food per dollar. Your food per dollar ratio is out of control. That's the same way I look at my entertainment dollar is. That's why I like video games, because my entertainment dollar per hour
keeps the money in the pocket.
Right. Yeah, it might be a little steep to get in, but once you're in, like, I don't know. I've had games that I've played for 100 hours plus, and guess what? That's worth the $60 at that point.
I just got back into gaming a little bit, to be honest. I post grad school here. So my kid's 8. I'm hesitant to let him get into shooting games just because his mom's kind of a bitch about it.
Yeah, I understand that. My wife's going to be the same way. Like, we've let him get into mine's 5, so the only thing he's really gotten into is, like, the Nintendo stuff, like Mario and Mario Kart and that kind of stuff.
It's not so much the, like Fortnite. There's not a lot of graphic shit in Fortnite. It's the assholes playing Fortnite talking to my 8-year-old kid about fucking his mom that I don't want to have to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part that I wish I could cut out, and then we'll let him build a shed out in the middle of some fucking forest and fire rockets out of it. That's fine. It's the retards on the other side of it that just I can't understand they're dealing with an 8-year-old.
Right.
So it almost like that. I'll leave it alone. But I got back into Call of Duty. I got Modern Warfare.
Okay.
I'm old school. My last Call of Duty I had was Modern Warfare. So
it's been a minute, is what you're saying.
Skills transition well.
That's
until
good.
I jumped into
online play.
Warzone. Yeah. What is that all about, bud? I mean, you want to talk about options. They threw me out of a plane, and like my whole team went this way. And I don't know how they control anything, so I go this way. And I'm just running around for probably 8 minutes. They're cussing me out. What the fuck is this guy doing? What is he doing? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
I'm in my 30s. I don't know how to do this shit anymore.
I'm 35 years old, and I haven't played this game for a decade. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Oh, man.
The training doesn't set you up either. They
No, it
give
doesn't.
you confidence, like, oh, well, this is what it's going to look like when you start playing.
Right. Bullshit.
Because it's training. If you got to do training before you do something, I feel like you should have enough skills to do that.
You feel like it should help.
Yeah. I didn't know.
I was wrong.
I was very wrong.
That's the way I feel about that stuff now. Like, I can get in and still do all right if it's like the single player and the campaign mode and that shit.
Yeah.
But the second you put me online, man,
Totally.
shooters passed me by a long time ago. I'll still hop on and try to play Destiny because it's a little more like player versus environment instead of player versus player.
Right. And then, like, so I do just team deathmatch, the standard bullshit, hardcore. I like that. Anything outside of that, you lost me. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know who's on whose team. I don't know who's shooting at who. It's just, it is what it is.
Man. All right. Let's see, Mr. Jennings is trying to figure out Zoom. So I got to tell him to go to
before.
No, we did it last night, this motherfucker. Go to start, go to Zoom.
Yeah. Turn your computer on, hit power.
Zoom, like, I don't like.
Hey, we talked about managing expectations earlier.
Right. I'm going to have to let him know when he gets on. I obviously need to have lower expectations. What was it? Was it Mad TV that used to do that skit? It was like the dating videos. Lowered expectations. Oh, man. All right. You got any other inadvertent thoughts? I got one or two more I could jump to.
Man, I have inadvertent thoughts probably about 4 or 5 times a day. And the hard part is not saying it out loud.
Right. That's what Cliff and I talk about that a lot, just in terms of that having that governor or that moderation inside your head. That the filter.
If
it's
you
all
don't
about.
have the filter, man, and that's one thing about football, right? So we talked about coaching football a little bit, having that filter, because when you coach football, that's about the least filtered conversations that I have with young adults. But it's because football kind of requires a different type of grit, right? Like you got to be able to handle that type of counseling and that type of direction if you're going to play a sport where you're expected to run full speed into another human being, play after play.
And you were talking about it during when we were talking about UFC, like what you like about it and that kind of thing around just seeing two guys beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
That was my thing with football. Like,
right.
That was the only reason I enjoyed playing.
The rawness.
Right.
Yeah. Totally. It's before things like UFC, before things like MMA, football is as close as it was to hand-to-hand combat.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like, and that's the beauty of it, is what most people don't understand about football is they look at it and they see offense against defense. They don't see 11 strategic moves against 11 strategic moves. You know what I mean? Every single person on that each side of the ball has a certain job that they're supposed to do in order for that play to work that they're managing. And people, I don't think, like, basketball is complicated because it's 5-on-5. Mixed martial arts is complicated, but it's only 1-on-1. So when you talk football, we're talking 11-on-11. You got 11 different guys doing 11 different things that are all supposed to be on the same page. And it's not always easy to have that happen. So it's one of those things where I just feel like people they look at the line as one unit, right? Like,
right.
Oh, well, they're either run blocking or they're pass blocking, right? But that's not true. Like, you could be run blocking at the same time the opposite tackle's run blocking, but you got two different assignments there. So it's kind of difficult to get people to understand the complexity of football, especially because of how televised it is. And a lot of people think because they watch it on TV, they know football.
Right. No, absolutely, and that's the thing. Like, and that's why this goes back to our conversation.
He's here.
Do you have a light on in there, dude? Like,
Yeah,
you look
man,
dark
we
as
can only
fuck.
see your teeth.
I know you're not that light skinned or that dark skinned.
They got me dark. I don't got my Twilight filter.
He's on blackout mode.
Right? What are you doing? We tested that camera. It works if you have the lights turned on, Cliff.
Yo, hey, my man just woke up from a nap.
Right? You
We're
know he
42
did.
minutes in. He just woke up from a nap.
What's crazy is, like I said, he was here at 4 o'clock picking up the camera. His ass went to sleep, his narcoleptic motherfucker.
Yeah. Hey, stop smoking the weed.
For real, when you get a chance, turn on a light, dude. Unless you just want to be in the dark. We may actually have Jason join us. I don't know.
Oh yeah?
he was looking. I was like, you know what? I'm game. Especially if he wants to dial in, we might have to wait for the UFC conversation.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hello?
You got me now?
Hello?
We got you.
Okay. I think I'm in. This light situation, I don't know.
You don't know? You don't know how to
Yeah.
turn on the light in your own house? Where are you?
No, I don't have a light in this room I can move.
So you don't have like a light at all? Like there's not an overhead? It's just you got to bring in a light bulb from another room. Who was it that used to have that? I think it was
No, I don't even have a outlet for a light in this room. Like I have to have a plug-in.
Bro, what are you in a storage unit? What the fuck are you doing?
Right.
No, we might have to. Let me see.
Hey, what kind of house only has one outlet? Bro?
Right. I don't know what he's
you need
doing.
to put some gas in the generator or what?
That almost works.
Hey, there he is.
Did you go back to your computer?
Yeah, I just went to the computer one.
All right, that's fine. You're gonna look. That's why it shows up as gray, because you're in the dark. It's in night vision mode.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Oh man, so you've missed our inadvertent thoughts.
Listen.
We touched on the UFC broadly. All right, so we didn't go deep into it. We haven't gotten into UFC 249 yet.
Okay.
And then. What else did we touch on? We touched a little bit on how we're not able to handle shooters anymore as being in our 30s. So we can't play the Call of Duties and the
Oh, why? Reaction time?
not online anyways.
Is that a reaction time thing? Is that what we're coming down to? Is that the...
I think it's the fact that kids are a lot better at it than we are. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the reaction time. I don't know.
Listen,
They get to do it all day. That's the thing. They don't have fucking jobs.
Right.
Right.
I mean, no, but I'm still okay at the Call of Duty now. Don't get it twisted.
Are you?
What do you mean? Okay, what's your KD ratio?
No, listen, I don't know. Maybe that's letting you know right
if
now.
If you don't know, that means it ain't good.
Right.
Maybe
that's letting you know right now, because I don't know where to check that shit. I don't know where to check any of this shit. Oh, man.
All right. So for those out in the chat, I see a couple people letting me know that Tyler's echoing a little bit. I changed a setting or two. Let me know if that fixed it. And then T, I'm supposed to tell you that Holmes says hi, Coach Holmes. And then Jason may join us in a bit, and if he joins us, we're gonna have to get into that UFC conversation. So
okay,
well, this might have to be the sports crew, unless Cliff, you got somebody that wants to rotate in at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know as far as the sports goes. I think you might be right.
So, Mr. Jennings, any inadvertent thoughts that you want to chime in with?
You know what? I was thinking long and hard about it. I really don't have too much this week, to be honest.
Nah.
I don't know if
you been teleworking.
I don't know if I could do it. No teleworking. I don't know if I could do an inadvertent thought / Corona porn prediction.
Corona porn prediction. So. T, just to give you a heads
inadvertent thought.
Cliff has been doing a Corona porn update every week. So, what's new in the world of Corona porn?
Listen, so saw on, I think it was Twitter News or something like that. They said that since people are out of work and whatnot, that there is a rise in landlords asking for sex to supplement rent.
Which is illegal. That's rape.
Yeah.
or sexual extortion or
Listen,
Depending
I'm
on
not
who
get-
you talk to.
or what you're into.
Yeah. Hey.
Listen, I'm not condoning anything. I'm just saying what the article says.
Yeah.
But it led me to wonder how many under the table deals do people actually have set up right now,
right.
and could this turn into a amateur property sex on the corona porn front?
Hey, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because I read an article about where they were tracking what most Americans were spending their stimulus money on, and it was like porn, sex paraphernalia, and drugs were like the 3 of the top 6. And I thought, man, that's fucking American as shit right there.
I mean, the sex toy industry is $1 billion industry. Like,
I mean, we're on hard times. Government's got to give you $1,200. Why not buy a Sibian?
right? T was made for this show. I just want to call that out. All right. Hey, I'm about to. We got one more person that's joining us. We got one more person to join. Let's see if he's there. Now, he didn't do the audio test the week before, or the night before, so we'll see.
That is
We have the J.
Hey, you missed it. Oh
shit! Oh shit!
He looks too smart to be on this podcast.
Right, it's the glasses. It's the glasses.
He looks educated.
Like, we got scientists this week.
Yeah.
Talk about UFC.
Yeah.
Do you know how rare it is? Everybody's asleep. I'm not tired somehow. Here we are. It's good to see you. Happy Friday. Okay, so I have not looked, but the schedule has come out. What is the official over-under of the Cincinnati football Bengals? I'm looking it up right now.
I'm going to stand firm at 7.
I'm going to guess it's below 10, which is what was being floated out there around the draft time.
That was while we had Andy Dalton. All right.
What a story. They cut Andy Dalton right. He said we.
After that happened, 4 wins. Take them away.
And the Cowboys are making the playoffs now because they're a backup quarterback, right? Yeah.
I was thinking Super Bowl.
Red and Cliff, who I've met one time, should not remember Reggie's bachelor party. I very much admire what the two of you are doing, going out here and doing this Fools Agree podcast, YouTube, everything.
We appreciate it.
Much appreciated.
That's what's up.
I try to tune in when I can. Like I said, usually on Friday nights at 9:00 because I'm lame as hell. I'm asleep because I'm just deadbeat tired, and the whole family is in bed. But for some reason,
Clearly, so am I, sir.
Right. Cliff's narcoleptic ass.
All right, 5 times live lines. Cincinnati Bengals.
Real quick.
And Strine, you think it's at 7? There's no way. Like, there's no chance.
I would be willing to put it at 7. I'd be comfortable at 7 with an over/under bet there.
But that's fine. There's no way Vegas put it at 7. There's no chance.
You don't think?
No.
I don't know what it is.
No, let's look it up here.
I'm gonna guess 7.
Tyler's keeping it with 7.
Solid.
Boomer Esiason, best left-handed quarterback ever to play the game.
All right.
Who they? Stay with that 7 wins.
We're still trying to figure out what Vegas has the Bengals at, or did we?
Yeah, we're not there yet.
It doesn't matter. I wouldn't bet on them.
Well, you know,
Well, I'm not betting on the Raiders either. Out of all the teams we've discussed, who you betting on out of these groups? The Bills.
Nah,
But you know what?
AFC.
AFC East without Brady? You
Favorites?
bet on the Bills.
You have a much better chance than you did when he was there.
No
y'all
shit.
gonna find a way to fuck it up.
I said as soon as
Okay.
Brady
Bills
retires or
back.
moves out of the,
All right, Jay, what
the
they got?
Patriots.
Vegas puts it at 5.5.
Ah,
Mm.
that's
Shrine.
so. The 1.5
put-
is my homer tab.
It makes sense.
Shrine, you put it at 7. This is a max bet for you. That's you can lose
I'd
a
be
game and
comfortable at
still
7.
win. Right.
If I didn't play the Browns twice this year, I'd probably bring it down to 5. You're right.
So go through their schedule and find me those 7 wins. Name them. Pull them up on your
Washington,
who are the,
Miami.
wait.
Browns.
Where's the Washington game?
It doesn't matter. I don't.
No,
I'm not. I'm
Dean
not a
says
Haskins. I don't
that their
believe in
prolific
Haskins.
pass rush is off the charts.
I'm not a Haskins fan. I don't think he's got it.
I think home and away matters for a rookie quarterback, Joe Burrow. So
Not a
where's
lot
the
of
game?
people
I do.
go to
For a
Redskins
rookie,
games
I agree.
anymore because they're real racist. So
All right, we're pulling it up.
all right.
I can't because I'll be honest. I was looking at the Browns schedule and I had put out in the chat, this is a make or break season for Baker Mayfield. He either puts up and they win 10 games, or about halfway through the season, he's going to get replaced, and Case Keenum will lead him to 6 wins, right? I mean, they have too much talent to win less than 6.
Agreed.
But with that schedule, I was going through it, and I found like 5 or 6 wins.
My thing with Baker is he needs. So like Odell is expecting talent that's going to elevate him, and that's not Baker. Odell is what elevates Baker. Baker doesn't elevate Odell.
I don't know.
Odell's not going to work that way. He wants somebody that's better than him to tell him what to do. Otherwise, he's just going to keep saying that he's not getting what he needs.
I don't
Okay.
know. Do we think he found that in Eli?
No. That's why he left.
Well, see,
Who
I don't
leaves-
know.
who
I
leaves
think he
somewhere
got
to go to the Browns?
I think he got
I would never
squeezed out.
leave
If
anywhere.
I'm being honest, I think he got squeezed out. But what I would say
yeah.
is,
Because he's a
last
shitty
year-
teammate.
last year he wasn't. I wouldn't peg him as healthy enough to give him a.
Yeah.
I mean, we
I
got to
just
see
don't
what
think
they
he's
look
the
like.
type of teammate that when Baker struggles, he's going to be behind Baker and say, hey, man, you're struggling, but I'm here for you. He's going to look at Baker and say, you're the reason I'm
Yo,
not
you
fucking
need to
getting
man the
my
fuck
numbers."
up, right?
Yeah. He's going to say, you're fucking me.
Well, see, I feel like there's a reason to do that in New York, because in New York you had Eli, who they have their faith in for some reason,
Super Bowl quarterback.
and he had somewhat
Super Bowl quarterback.
of
Right.
a few threats, and it's a different dynamic. In Cleveland, they're not used to winning. So it's not like they're going to be on Baker or Odell.
Truer
come
words
on,
have
man.
never been spoken.
Subtle drop. They're
So-
not you.
There's no
winning up there.
there's no
Cleveland.
pressure for him to really be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
I don't
do.
see him
I do.
floating like he would in New York or in Cleveland like he could.
All right, Strine.
Yeah.
Here's your schedule: home versus the Chargers.
He's
Win.
trying to twist
There's
his
one.
knife.
I'll give you that.
At Cleveland, primetime.
Win.
Loss.
That's 2.
Loss. At Philly. At Philly.
Loss.
Loss.
I'll take that loss.
Home versus Jacksonville.
That
Toss
could
up.
go
Toss,
either way.
yeah.
You're at 1.5.
So let's go 3.
Where's Jacksonville playing the week before?
Good.
Are they in London the week before?
Right. At Baltimore. Loss.
No, loss. That's a loss.
Except
At
you know this schedule
Indianapolis.
doesn't mean shit, right?
Loss.
That's a loss.
Home versus Cleveland, I'll give you a win. You're at 2.5.
You think Brissett is the real deal, or you think Rivers is going to play in Indy? Because that's good. Could change their team from being decent to not good.
I think Rivers is the starter. And by week 6, he's still playing.
All right.
Then you're home versus Tennessee. Loss. Bye week.
Loss.
That's
four.
We're at 2.5.
Cliff, I got
Pittsburgh.
Right.
At Washington, I'll give you the half.
You think Pittsburgh is a loss? Because I think they're probably the most questionable team coming into the AFC North this season.
Most suspect. You might be right.
What do you want to set the line at? Sunday, November the 15th at Pittsburgh.
I don't know, man. I just don't. I don't see a lot from Pittsburgh. I don't think. What has Pittsburgh done in the last 2 or 3 years to get better?
Is Cincinnati favored?
I mean,
You know what?
We're usually not.
Field?
We're usually not, but we've done things to get better this year. We normally don't.
I gotta
don't think
agree. I
Pittsburgh's
gotta
done that.
agree with T on this one. I think Burrows is good for one game where it's like, didn't know we had that in him.
And Pittsburgh would be that game.
That would be a good one for it to be. Yeah.
You got to beat them once.
I could see that happening.
All right.
So you're gonna do it on the road,
Yeah.
not at home.
Yep.
Off the bye week. Okay.
No, I didn't know about the road.
I think I'm at 3.
Yeah, I think Jason's at like 2.5. I'm at 5.
Then you're at Washington. That's where I got you to 3.
Toss up, yeah.
Home versus the Giants. I'll give it to you. 4.
Manageable.
You win that game. At Miami. I'll give you a toss up there. Fine.
All right,
4.5. Home versus Dallas. Loss. Home versus Pittsburgh. I'll give you the toss up. 5. At Houston.
Loss.
Week 16
They
is
traded
Deshaun Watson
DeAndre
hurt?
Hopkins
Right.
for
Loss.
what?
I obviously think Houston takes that.
Home versus Baltimore. I got you to 5. You guys were talking 10 at draft.
Well,
What did your optimistic output get you to? 7, 8?
Beat the Steelers twice. That would take them to 7.
Before you got on, I was explaining to Reggie that the Bengals haven't spent more than $8 million in free agency in probably the last 6 years, and this year we spent almost $100. So that's got to account for something.
And they're all doing what? Studying their playbooks at home? Like they're not going to have. I mean,
but when you look at the organization, you have to ask them to do something as opposed to nothing. And they finally did something. Now, whether that's going to work out or not, I don't know. I'm more optimistic than I probably should be, but basing it on prior history, I haven't had much to be optimistic about.
Listen, I never root against the Bengals. I always hope for their success.
Never have to.
Want them. Well, true.
Well,
But even when they were in the Marvin Lewis era and they were, doing the one and done in the playoffs, I was rooting for him. I mean,
Right.
who the
Why
hell-
not?
Why would I not? Right.
Back when they blew Carson's knee out, they
it
tied
was a
Harding.
dirty play. It was a
Carson,
dirty play.
He got
Timo
Tanya
Van
Harding.
Olofsen. He used to play for the Bengals. That was a dirty play. Hey, but
5.5.
if we're talking statistics, I've never seen Joey Burrow get tackled by a 230-pound police officer while he was in college. So if I had to put my money on one quarterback or another, he's got escapability, right? Escapability.
And I
if you're looking for a Baker apologist, like you've come to the wrong place. I'm
How
on
do
the
you
side
back
of.
up the Manziel draft with Baker Mayfield?
It's
That's a tough sell.
Exactly.
Tough sell.
No,
the
I'm
only
with
team
you.
that's had more or just as many quarterbacks as the Browns has been Buffalo. So
Yeah.
I get it.
And then the only player we haven't talked about that plays for him tried to kill another player with a helmet. So, I mean,
But he's Fast off the edge.
and that was one of Cleveland's wins.
He's got a good first step.
He's got a good first step. Well,
it's not who he is.
So speaking of defensive,
reflect him as a person. That's fair. That's fair.
You said what, Mike?
so I said, speaking of defensive ends, I think that's a good transition to UFC 249 and Greg Hardy. Kind of starting off. Just trying to keep the conversation moving. Because I don't want to talk about the fucking Bengals anymore.
I think Dana's just doing charity.
Just doing charity?
Didn't do, wasn't something wrong with his knee or his ankle or something?
I mean, he got it tattooed during the fight, didn't he?
Yeah, they said something about, I thought I heard something about an injury. There was an injury to his knee or his ankle, like, early in the fight.
I thought it was a little bit later, and I thought it just looked like it had been beat on, but, I mean...
I don't know. I could have been wrong. But, he just doesn't impress me, man. He's just... I mean, I get it. Put it like this. If you're not... what's the dude, Francis Ngannou? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't really see the rushing at you power style effective. And even with Francis Ngannou, it's only a matter of time before that shit backfires. Like,
no doubt.
That's not an actual fighting style. You're just, you're barroom.
You're a brawler at that point, right?
For MMA, I don't think he's an ideal fit. They've talked about him jumping into boxing, believe it or not.
Hardy?
No. Ngannou. You brought up Ngannou, and I think that's right. But for Hardy, I think he's done well up until this fight. I was expecting him to come in and finish this guy. That's what I kind of wanted to see, just because if he's got a name behind him, and if you look at the payouts, he got paid significantly more than the guy that he fought because of his name.
Right.
It's charity work.
Well, I mean, I
just figured for a guy that would have a couch full of assault rifles that he might come out and throw a heavier fist.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the thing, though, is that, you know, coming off the NFL, like, if you're going to go into the UFC, what do you have to lose? Like, the only reason you're going to do it is for the money.
Yeah, if you're going to beat a woman and you're going to have a bunch of assault rifles, at least come into the cage like you've done it before.
Come in like a man.
The guy. Yeah.
I mean, what fight? When has he? Has he gotten any finishes?
Yeah. And that's kind of why I was excited to see him fight, because he had finished a few people prior to this guy knockout. I mean, he's been knocking motherfuckers out left and right. His first fight, he demolished some dude, and he throws heavy fists. But with this fight, I think he's starting to catch up to the talent level.
I thought his first fight was a dud. Because I remember after his third fight, Dana was talking about they didn't know if they were gonna let him fight again.
His first fight, it was like an amateur fight, where it was like at a Hollywood casino in Florida, and he knocked this dude out cold, like within seconds. And that's kind of what generated some steam for people to say, well, maybe he does know how to fight a little bit. So he got a camp and kind of got some stuff behind him. But I think he's starting to catch up to where these guys are the real deal.
Yeah.
And
he's moved up enough for the ranks where...
And you still haven't gotten to the elite level yet. And I just don't see you, like, we're doing this for fun.
Right. Well, I mean, he's what? He's 33, 34? Like, he was already... I mean, he had played in the NFL for, what, 6-7 years before...
For Dallas, I can't remember how long he played.
That lady.
Yeah. But he was, I mean, he didn't sign with UFC till 2017, so he's only in his third year, and I think he's like early 30s. But I mean, as far as fighters go, there's not a whole lot that go too much past 35.
Yeah.
Except maybe your elite guys.
Who on here has been to a live UFC event? Okay. Shrine, you have? Reggie, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shrine, at your event, did heavyweights fight?
So I've been to multiples. 2 out of the 4 that I've been to, there were heavyweight bouts there.
So you've seen heavyweights fight.
Yeah.
maybe you had a different experience than me, but every time heavyweights fight, that ring bounces and moves differently. You know, the flyweights, the lightweights, the middleweights come out, they fight, they put it on a good show, and then boom, the heavyweights hit, and it's like, okay, this is different.
Right.
And so with a dude like Greg Hardy, I don't know what his ceiling is, but when you look at like a Nagano, that fucking dude throws bombs. Like, like
when it's
murderous
ball, you
bombs.
hear it. Yeah,
yes.
no doubt.
And when you're live, it's not just, it's like their feet hitting the mat. You hear, you know, I'm always in the nosebleeds, and like you
can
hear
still
them
hear it
on the mat. You're like, oh, this is different. And you know, I don't know so much about Hardy, but like Nagano, what he did this past weekend, like where's he go? I mean, Stipe beat him, but like that dude has something special in his hands, and there's a reason why Stipe has the record for heavyweight title defenses, because dudes can't keep that belt very long because big motherfuckers come into the ring and throw absolute bombs, and you get caught by one.
And that's all it takes. And honestly, that's why I like the heavier weight classes. Is you're more likely to see that quick knockout. Yeah.
Or you get the tyrannical heavyweight that rules forever because it's too big of a skill gap.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, Ngannou is nothing but a Deontay Wilder of the UFC.
Yeah.
You don't have skill.
I can see that.
You just have power, and you're quick enough to get in.
He's very one-dimensional. He's going to throw fists, and that's about the extent of his game.
Right.
What I thought was interesting was, if you watch those fights the other night, that heavyweight fight that came out, Oven St. Preux, he was fighting, and he used to fight at light heavy. And John Jones tweeted out about how easy the transition looked for Oven St. Preux to make to heavyweight, and he's contemplating making that jump.
They were talking about on what podcast was it? The guy does so many, Brendan Schaub, but I can't remember what podcast it was.
The Fighter and the Kid.
It could have been the Fighter and the Kid that they were talking about after the DC Stipe fight. He doesn't think that neither one of them will have another one in them, and I don't either. After those first two that they did. Like, if they fight again, I think that's the end of both of them have to call it quits after that. Then who do you have but a John Jones and a, like you said, or a Prue, or like you have to find somebody to replace. Otherwise, Ngannou gets to by default and range for till we get skill.
They talk about Ngannou jumping into boxing, which I could see. There's very good money for him to jump into that game.
I can't.
But I think boxing's even more I mean, it's more finesse than the UFC.
Right.
Totally.
And then I don't know. And then
for McGregor to do what he did is amazing. I mean, like
correct.
And people don't understand that.
Exactly.
He got his ass beat. He got his ass beat for the last probably 3 to 4 rounds, but to even go even or win a round, the best boxer in that weight class of all time.
Listen,
it's fucking unreal.
Hey,
it really is.
We agree on that. We definitely agree on that. I'll give you that one.
Cliff, what are you drinking? What do you got there?
Oh, Doles.
Elvis.
Elvis juice.
It's our Elvis juice.
So you don't fall asleep.
You know, it's funny. It's funny. How the fuck are you late to the show from home? Like, you had the excuse the one time you were like, "Oh, you're not the one that has to drive." Blah blah blah. What'd you have to do? Drive to your fucking across the hall?
I was just sitting there
podcast. I didn't know it was gonna be
because you knew it was gonna piss me off.
Maybe I was just sitting there watching from YouTube, like,
It's like, let me see if I want to be involved.
You were watching the insides of your eyelids. All right, what else from 249 do we want to jump into?
Who does
so much.
Who does Ngannou fight next? I mean, the dude has 3 losses on his career. The first comes back in 2013.
So DC
then
and Stipe got a fight, right?
Yeah,
then he lost to Stipe and Derek Lewis. I was at the Derek Lewis fight, and neither of them threw a fucking punch. They just circled each other the whole time. The arena booed. But look at the dudes he's knocked out: Overeem, Arlovsky, Velasquez, Dos Santos, now Rosenstrike. Like, is he in waiting? And DC and Stipe got to have the trilogy and fight the third time, and then Ngannou gets the winner?
I gotta set up him against Lewis rematch, and then when he beats Lewis, because I think he would, jump into the winner of DC Stipe. But Stipe said, I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, he's all in on the firefighter deal. He said he's not stepping away from that anytime soon. So, and I don't blame him. I mean,
no,
me neither.
It's very rare to see that, and it's kind of admirable.
DC already said he'd agree to the fight so it's either gonna be Ngannou or Stipe, because Stipe still.
I don't think DC wants to see Ngannou.
You know what? I think that's a good matchup. I think that's bad for Ngannou. If that fight happened, I would put my money on DC.
I would too, but I just don't think that establishes DC as any better of a fighter, because he's just going to take him down and beat the fuck out of him.
Right. But he's taking down the big bad wolf that everybody's scared of.
But I think Stipe would stand and bang with Ngannou. I think he would, but DC's not going to do that.
But why would you? Why would you want to? Like, the name of let's be honest.
Because if you want to be the best, you got to beat the person at what they're known for.
No. See, that's the.
No, you like the Matt Hughes fighters. That's not me.
No,
I don't like to see
I don't like the Matt Hughes fighters.
Cliff's a bigger striker,
But listen, at the same time, let's be honest, though. A win is a win. Now, the name of the game is longevity. We just talked about Stipe and DC only having one fight. Why the fuck would I stand and listen? There's a for fighters. There's a certain thing called a hit. What do they? I can't think of the name of it. There's only a certain number of hits you can take.
Right.
Regardless, a certain number of good shots you can take
in your career.
Right, and in that 1 and 2 of DT Stipe Miocic, listen, y'all were at maximum capacity for fights. So one more fight is going to be brutal on both of you guys regardless.
I still can't.
Period, point blank. There is no point for you to go in with Goliath and not use your slingshot.
Yeah.
You're in fight sports. It's not about trying to see whose balls are bigger. I got to survive for my family. It's not about entertaining the masses.
So my thing is at this point, DC's got nothing to prove on a championship level. He's got something to prove on a greatness level. And I don't think that him fighting Ngannou and taking him down and just punching him in the face for 5 rounds, I don't think that scores him any higher on the greatness scale.
See, I think that he could bang with him.
Oh yeah, I mean he definitely would, but I think they're two different style of fighters.
Not only would.
Cormier is so strong on the ground game.
I think he could. Because you got to think of how much of a height difference that is, and how often do you see Francis Ngannou punching down? Now that's something that we haven't seen you do. I don't know how good you are at changing levels on your shots. So it might be perfect for Cormier to stay inside, right up underneath you, and exchange with you. You can't.
And I think Cormier would win that fight. I just think it'd be one of those boring fights where it'd be one of those, hey, I paid $60 for this and
for this to go the distance, and
it could be. I just feel like Cormier could have the advantage
for sure.
on the feet and on the ground.
Got a lot of
in that
experience.
Fight.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if he gets it to the ground, I agree. He's probably got the advantage on the ground.
And he's gonna get it to the ground.
Right. It's just it's what style does he want to play? Like, does he want to show that he can stand in there and strike with anybody? Or is he just going to be like, nah, I'm going to take this fight to the ground and I'm going to own it on the ground? Right, exactly.
Right.
And then he loses his reputation.
Right.
You know? It's a loser.
Right. Go watch the Anthony Rumble Johnson fight where that dude was putting dudes to sleep. And Cormier got inside. Who cares? Let the crowd boo.
Right.
Take the motherfucker down. win.
Yeah, I used to love Rumble.
I still love Rumble. I mean, that
I do too, but
but I'm with Shrine. I think that the only fight other than John Jones for DC is you got to make the trilogy with Stipe. You have to beat him the 2 out of the 3 times.
Yeah,
right.
You have to, and I don't know. That's a tough one to call.
Didn't he get like a skull fracture in that last fight?
I mean, he caught Stipe in the first fight. You know, they got in, they dirty boxed, and DC
I got hit
caught
the piston,
him.
boys.
Yep.
And in the second one, I think Stipe outclassed him. I think but then you have all this, like,
I think
Stipe's been on first responder duty, and
I
how
think
much
he
training
got,
has been doing. And
if I'm not familiar, I think he got a skull fracture in that last fight. That little cut that he had right here, and they had him on to where he wasn't released to fight. And I know they said something on the same podcast where Brendan Schaub was talking about it. They said if he doesn't fight, he's gonna have to release the belt.
It's so dumb.
So I don't know if, like you said, if it's the first responder thing or if he still hadn't got cleared from that little thing. But they said if he doesn't hurry up and take a fight, because DC's waiting. That's why he said, I'll take Ngannou or Stipe. They said if he doesn't hurry up and take a fight, he's going to have to release his belt.
So I got a question for you. At this point in the UFC, what happens more often? That somebody is forced to vacate or give up the title? Like, I feel like there's an interim champion in every division, like every 3 months, every 6 months, whatever the case is.
Well, you know what, though? What I will say is I'm not going to say I don't like Dana White, but he's definitely hurting cattle.
Yeah.
There's too fast of a turnaround on a lot of those fights.
It's the proliferation of the sport, right? I mean, it's gone from 5 years ago there was one pay-per-view a month and maybe
now
one
there's
fight night a month.
It feels like there's 2 a month now, pay-per-view.
Right, one a week now.
It's like, who are these dudes?
They were
like,
just talking about with the dude, what's the dude that whose stepdaughter got killed, who's fighting Overeem?
Shit.
Wilson Smith or something.
Tony Smith?
I don't know what his name is. I can't remember his name. But he's listen, he just suffered the loss of his stepdaughter or whatever, and they said that because of how quick he's turned around on his fights, he's been in training camp for the last 9 months.
Jesus.
A training camp is only supposed to be 2 months. 3 months max.
Tops,
so he's been in training camp for the past 9 months because he's just taking fight after fight. That's not. I mean, that's not.
Walt Harris is the UFC fighter, by the way.
Who? What's his name?
Walt Harris.
Walt Harris. I said Wilson Smith. Just insert last name here.
Insert white first name, white last name. That sounds like a random white folk generator.
Listen, I apologize that you got it in the title. I just throw shit out there.
That's why it's
I was close.
Fools. You were. No, you really weren't. No, you weren't. But
I was a fool's close.
It was.
There you go.
Like I said, just the random white name generator. Here you go. That's what you get popped up with.
I said Wilson Smith. But yeah, 9 months in a training camp. That's ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? And then you wonder why your fighters aren't always ready on call.
Well, no shit. But Jason's right. It's just the proliferation of the sport, and unfortunately, when it gets to a certain point, like that's when you're no longer putting the fighter's best interests at heart. You're putting the dollar as the almighty governor.
And also, I'm sorry, and again, I'm super lame, but like I can't follow it all.
Right.
You know, there used to be. It was like the pay-per-view, Memorial Day, July 4th weekend, Super Bowl weekend. Like, you got the pay-per-view, and you're going to see the dudes on the pay-per-view, and here are the up-and-comers, and you might watch the prelims, too.
Right.
It's every week
And
now.
he-
And
Right.
I don't have the time to invest.
That's
I was
because
shocked when I saw one coming on tomorrow.
right.
I was
Another
like,
fight
damn, for real?
night.
And
They
it's
did
not
too.
it's not a bad couple of fights either.
This past card that I didn't watch was stacked. It was like one of the pay-per-views of old. Like, oh shit, we got like.
Well, that's because we've
some
been a
news
month
on
and a
this
half
stuff.
without anything. That's the.
But exactly, because they haven't been able to do them. I mean,
Right.
there was the one here in Columbus. I bought tickets
For the
to
Arnold.
go to, and it's
I'm not mad at Dana though. I'm not mad at Dana for putting it on.
No.
But what I will say, and this is a good segue into, and you came back right on time, T. I will say this is a good segue into Henry Cejudo's retirement. That proves that Dana White's not taking care of your fighters. That's
a contract ploy. He's not retiring.
My guy is undisputed.
So listen to this.
Two-weight class champion.
He'll be back.
And he's not getting paid enough to.
I got a little backstory to this. All right.
Okay, what's the back?
He's got inside sources. Cite your sources.
Yeah, right.
Right. So,
are these the same sources saying the Bengals are going to win more than
right.
Lock that in, Jason. Lock that in. All right. That's guaranteed.
Hey, guess what? It's on video now. So.
First off, the podcast is called "Do Fools Agree?" So if any fools take you up on that bet, we're gonna have to let them know.
That's fair.
Come to.
I want in on this bet.
I got a friend that lives out in Arizona, trained at the same gym as Cejudo.
Okay.
And said that.
Is this Fat Shane?
Yes.
Way to name drop.
Yes.
My favorite story real quick of Fat Shane is when he said he had to stop drinking and so was just slamming wine because it was less inflammatory than beer.
The antioxidants are good for you. All right? It was to manage inflammation. All right? So, but, and I could kind of see it from, and you can see it from Cejudo. Honestly, like, if I had to look at somebody and say, man, that motherfucker's got CTE, it's got to be him. When he started talking about calling out female fighters, I lost track with what he was trying to accomplish. And I don't know if, I'm sure it was a joke, but at the same time, it was kind of like, that's not really a joke. Like, people know that's not real, right? But
that sounds like some WWE shit.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking Hell in a Cell here.
But there was you have to do that in context though, because that was after they came out with the transgendered young lady that was a man who was brutally beating all the women.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, if this is equality, then let me call out which is equivalent.
Now that's a fight I'd like to see.
Which is equivalent
against him.
Well, no, he wasn't even saying her specifically. He was saying if you're gonna let her fight women, then I can call out women myself.
No,
it wasn't a situation where he was just like, I'm calling out women. He was trying to say,
point out the flaw in what's happening. I agree with that, but at the same time, Cejudo's one of those guys. He's competed at the most elite level, Olympic-wise.
Very young.
I mean,
right.
When you compete on a world level like that, that's a whole different level of competition.
I mean, he was an Olympic gold medalist at what, like 2008?
19?
Yeah, and he's brought his work ethic into UFC, and that's translated very well. And to be honest, I'm surprised at how good his striking is. I thought he would be more of a
wrestler.
Hey, let me grab your legs, hold you down, and just beat the fuck out of you. But
what is it? What is it that I can't think of the animal? It's like that has a stupid small lifespan, but they get so much done inside of it. It's like
the murder hornet.
We'll go with the murder hornet. Now,
I just nicknamed Cejudo.
It was like an insect of some sort, though. But that's what he is. Like, to be honest, like he could potentially.
It's better than the honey badger.
He could potentially be the best MMA fighter of all time, given that he knocked off.
Oh, you're out of line with all time.
Why not?
I just don't.
Why not? What's your arguments against
I don't know,
it?
because I look at him and when they say, hey, the tail of the tape, and it rolls up and it says he weighs 135 pounds, I'm like, I just pick that motherfucker up and throw you.
There you go. That's
it's hard to
might.
think he's dangerous at 135.
What about Mayweather? Is Mayweather not the best fighter of all time?
Boxing's different.
No, sir. No, sir. They're fight sports. This goes back to
I don't know.
This goes back to just manhood, just plain fighting.
My 8-year-old weighs 74 pounds, and this motherfucker only weighs 135.
I get it.
I picked him up by the ankles and just fucking moving.
And
Wait.
His little ass,
Pause.
Put his little ass in a rear naked choke.
Time out. You just said your 8-year-old weighs 75 pounds. My 5-year-old weighs 75 pounds.
And I have put his ass in a rear naked
Joke. That's funny.
Yeah.
T,
Where were
when's
we?
the next Little T highlight video coming out?
That's true.
Soon, man. I'm trying. So
I mean, there's not a lot to highlight right now, is there?
Right, when's his next? Right, what are we doing?
So
fall gonna happen?
we're
or
in
what?
between whether or not we jump into tackle in the fall or not. He's in second grade, jumping into third. The problem is, at third grade they have some bullshit type of football where you can't run shotgun. You have to run everything under center. They do like 5 plays, and then the other side does 5 plays. And I thought I can't really teach him football at that age.
No, and T, you and I were talking about this a little bit before the show started. I think I am of the mind I don't think my son is playing tackle football until middle school. More so because I don't trust coaches.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
And once you're in middle school, those are guys exactly. Once you get to middle school, those are guys that probably either have been coaching middle school forever because they have a relationship with the high school staff that they're a feeder school for, or they have aspirations of being on a high school staff. But anything before that, it's this is dads that have watched it on Sundays or Saturdays and think they know what the fuck they're talking about, and they don't.
Right. Have you watched Friday Night High?
Yes, I've
seen. Have you ever watched that? Jesus Christ! I saw the one coach tell the kid to jump off sides intentionally on the first play to set the tone and lay the other kid out.
I mean, I kind of like that for high school. I might have to start instituting that.
Yeah. It's like, what was that movie, Necessary Roughness, where before they snap the ball, the Replacements, before they snap the ball, they have to beat the fuck out of the other guy.
With Keanu Reeves and Orlando, what's his name?
Dane Falco.
I mean, you and Jason both know me. I had the first one's free rule, right? The first time you get a personal foul in the first half and it's a late hit on the quarterback, I'm not going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
Because that's getting in the quarterback's head, and that's okay.
Absolutely, it's a game of aggression. Be aggressive, for sure.
And it's funny because 2013 that season, Jason, I had to pull the guys back. I don't think I've had anybody take me up on that offer since then.
Right?
These kids are soft as fuck.
Tells you all you know.
Right.
You need to know.
Al Davis, and then when they come checking for you, when the kids are like, you got to pay my fine now.
Right, exactly.
Mr. Coach Reggie.
Reggie, do you think high school football will happen in the fall?
I do not.
No.
I think it'll happen in the spring at best. And I think they might just throw out the season, which sucks because I've got 2 defensive ends that I think are Division I talent. And for Whitehall kids, that's rough.
That's your chance.
Right, that's your chance. And unfortunately, I think that I hope we at minimum can play in the spring. I do not think we're playing ball in the fall.
How do you feel about spring football? I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
I like it more than not doing it. But my question becomes, does that become a new normal? Will it ever be able to go back to fall? You're not going to be able to give kids, all right, let's say even if it's a reduced season and the state championship game is played in late May, early June, or late June. That's a month before the off season starts for football. You're not going to have time.
I think this is a great opportunity for Ohio to get on board with
spring
states
football,
like Florida and Texas. Yeah, and just start spring football. Florida, they play all year round. When I was down there, we coached our kids all through summer. There was no rules against being involved with your kids during the summer.
I
had them in pads.
I have just reservations around, and I don't know how both of you feel about it, but as a coach and as a father now, I don't believe in year-round sports for any sport. Like, I think variety is one. I think it's necessary for player health, player safety, and two, I think
and skill set.
Exactly, and it allows you to develop as an athlete.
Right.
And you
can't
look
just
at
play one sport.
And on top of that, I'm a track and field guy, right? Like, I won championships in football and in track and field in college.
Well, I don't know what's changed at all. But back when I was playing football in high school, it was mandatory we ran track as well.
Or you at least did something. It was either you either made the baseball team or you had
to. All skill backs were required to run track as well.
Yeah.
If you were a wide receiver, running back, anything like that, you had to run track and play football. It was no.
And I mean, as a
the privatized stuff.
Yeah.
Like the
AAU garbage.
And so quarterbacks now have the QBU, the quarterback university, that takes place throughout the duration of summer, where they travel state to state and do different competitions, like AAU for basketball, similar to that. But these 7-on-7 camps are huge now.
They are. And 7-on-7 is so fucking stupid.
Only way out. You're not going to talk them into running track. It's not going to happen.
No, I get it.
And that's the problem is, the people running these camps have done a fantastic marketing job, because if I could pay somebody $200 or I could have somebody pay me $200 to send their kid to me for me to say that I'm going to put them in front of college coaches. Like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Listen, I feel like that's a good segue, but I'm so sorry. I didn't get to finish what I wanted to about the UFC before he moved on.
That's
fine.
I was. Take it back. What left did we want to talk about?
I almost freaked out. I don't know if everybody else caught it on camera, but I have a window right next to me, and the whole curtain got pulled down. I had the window open, and I almost opened fire out the window on the podcast. I don't know if anybody caught that.
No. I mean, we had shots fired on the podcast, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, but I don't want them recorded.
Right, I hear you.
But what I wanted to say was, and especially when I said on the greatest of all time, not of all time, but
Cejudo, is that your GOAT?
No, he's definitely not my GOAT. Definitely not my GOAT, but you have to give the man peas, especially for the victory that he got over Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, he worked him.
Let's be honest here. In that weight class, Dominic
nobody
Cruz
cares. Oh wait.
He may not have been around for a while, but Dominic Cruz was king. He was torturing those alpha male guys ever since WEC came to UFC.
But do you agree with that stoppage in that fight?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. And
I was like, I kind of get it, but
listen,
Cruz was still on his 2 feet. I mean, if I'm gonna step in, somebody's got to be on their back.
I agree.
No, he wasn't on his 2 feet. He was on his hands.
He was still standing up.
He was on his hands and his knees, and he was pounding on his head like this. Now, my whole thing is, you didn't defend. It'd be different if he had a hand over his head, but he was trying to get back up while he was getting hit. Yeah. No, sir. That's not defending yourself. You're out of it.
It brings up a real unique aspect of UFC, because you watch the fight like you watched the other night with Smith against Teixeira, and a lot of people are really hounding Smith's corner for not stopping the fight sooner.
Because he's handing his teeth to the official like halfway through the fight.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting his fucking face beat in.
But you also don't know the agreement that the fighter has with the corner.
That's true.
Because it's different with every fighter. Because trust and believe, you may be a fighter that says, if you throw that towel in, I will fuck you up after this fight on everything. Like, I don't care, trainer or not. If you throw this towel in and cost me a loss, I'll fuck you up after this fight. So sometimes you just gotta let your fighter go out on their shield and sometimes it is a defend your fighter type situation, but I'll never put that on the trainer for not stopping the fight. And it's funny that you said that, because the one fight that I feel that should have got stopped that didn't was Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje.
Really?
I was looking at that like, oh my. Listen, I am a fighter.
I mean, it got stopped, didn't it?
I was looking at that fight like, oh my God, like somebody do something about it. He turned around multiple times in the fight, like got hit so hard he turned around and then spun all the way.
Yeah.
You don't do that. Like, that's how you know somebody doesn't want to fight anymore. When they turn their shoulder away from you, they don't want to fight anymore. And he did it 2 or 3 times in the fight, and I was like, oh my gosh, stop it. Somebody stop this fight. And nobody stopped it.
And I don't like the fact that Tony Ferguson kind of came off like he was a little bit pissed off about the stoppage.
And that's why I say you don't know, because Tony Ferguson has been on record multiple times saying, I'll die in that ring. I'll die in that ring. Yes, you may, but you're a dumbass.
And didn't he end up going after the referee afterwards?
Yeah.
In terms of his post-fight.
Hey, why the fuck you stop it?
That's just
like,
from
bro, did you see your face?
Rearrange
got
his
fucking
shit.
hit with a 2x4.
Right.
And Mike, didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? This
You're
isn't
right.
a good fight for him. He's gonna exchange and he's gonna get fucked up.
But
now,
do you feel any sympathy for Tony Ferguson? Because he did say he had trained his entire camp for Khabib, and if you follow him on Instagram and Twitter, he was working his jiu-jitsu game a lot.
That's what I was about to
working
say.
much striking.
It's
because
funny that you.
I think he felt Khabib was going to come in, try to take him down, and I think that's what he was working.
It's funny that you say that, T, because the one note that I put down here is Eddie Bravo is pissed because they were training for 16 to 18 months for Khabib.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
All ground shit.
They put in a lot of work for that.
Maybe that goes to say what you were talking about. If you want to be the best, beat the guy at what he's best at. If Tony would have took Gaethje down and worked some of that Khabib
I thought
shit,
that too.
might have won the fight, sir.
Yeah.
You might have won the fight.
I don't know enough about Gaethje to know his ground game, but I hear he's a solid
his ground
wrestler.
game's amazing. No, his ground game is amazing, but wrestling is usually susceptible to certain jiu-jitsu. And you're talking about Tony Ferguson. This is the guy that hits arse chokes and twisters.
I thought for sure he would try to take him down at least once he was getting his face punched like it was a fucking watermelon.
It was ridiculous. I've never
at a Gallagher show.
I've never cringed. Usually I'm the king in Gladiator. Like, But I was watching that like, oh my gosh, like, are y'all watching this? Like, y'all gonna let this happen? Like, he is rearranging his face. And I go and listen, he's gonna take over the 155 weight division.
Gaethje's good.
It's gonna be him. It's gonna be him and Masvidal. Mark my words. It's gonna be Gaethje and Masvidal.
You like Jorge?
Yeah, it's gonna be those two in the end. And you know what? I put that down.
Jason's questioning. I see it.
I see it in Jason's eyes too.
I see it.
Hold up. Before you question, let me tell you why. And I'm gonna relate it to the two fights. So the reason why Gaethje got to take advantage of Tony like that is because, and this goes back, Mike, to what I said last week. I said Tony Ferguson could be a good, not an elite, but a good professional boxer.
Yeah.
And he fights the exact same way Nick Diaz fights, where I'll pop shot you until I see fit to throw a power shot.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but you also have to make someone respect your power. And Gaethje didn't respect his power whatsoever, and I can tell you why. There was a specific point in, I believe, the second or third round, or no, I'm sorry, it was the third or the fourth round, where there was an exchange next to the fence. Gaethje decides instead to cover up, to pull on the punch, and he doesn't pull far enough. Tony hits him with an overhand in the mouth, and he shuffles his feet like no big deal.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, oh, see, that's a problem. He's not even worried about you hitting him. It's about to be ugly. And that's when he turned it up, and the fight should have been stopped.
Yeah.
Because he realized you can't hurt me. And it was the same way Masvidal felt against Diaz, and he was like, oh, you're just jabbing at me. I'm going to take you out. Some people throw with cruel intentions. and some people just throw. And we saw the difference in that fight.
But there's no denying that Ferguson almost knocked Gaethje out at the end of the second round.
He got caught.
He hit him with that fucking uppercut,
He got
and
caught.
he was hurt.
He
He was hurt. If
I
there
feel
was
like
another
if there was-
15 seconds on that round, it might not have went past 2.
I feel like there could have been another 60 in that round and nothing would have happened. I don't think anything would have happened. I think he just caught him, and it was like, oh, I
rocked him.
misjudged. Oh, he rocked him, but I don't think it was anything to worry about.
He wasn't worried. Yeah.
Right.
Jason's chomping. I see it.
Let's see it, Jason. What do you got,
What you
Jason?
got? What you got, Jay?
Matchups make fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, fools agree.
Ferguson, I was very
Fools agree on that.
intrigued by Ferguson versus Khabib because Ferguson has that, like, I don't know what the fuck this guy is going to do.
Right. That
to your
sweep.
point,
Did you see that foot sweep?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
But he didn't-
unconventional.
He didn't back it up.
Gaethje, Gaethje is, in my mind, a mauler.
Yeah.
He is in his prime. He's strong. He's coming at you. Like, here I come. That is the prototypical fighter
him.
that Khabib mauls.
Yeah.
He is going to maul
But
him.
Gaethje
He is
has
going to-
wrestling too. Gaethje has wrestling.
He doesn't have wrestling, a Russian bear from
The next day, I saw
But
Khabib swimming in some Russian river.
I'll give you
for
that.
Gaethje, and I'm just like, God damn, man.
That
I
is
agree
the
there.
perfect matchup for Khabib. I wanted to see Ferguson versus Khabib just because in the McGregor versus Khabib fight, the best parts of McGregor were I don't know, like he's got this sort of unconventional, and then Khabib got a hold of him and it was like,
Well, see,
that was
good
it.
night. Like,
Well,
you're done.
this is why I feel like that fight is closer than you think, because what you said when McGregor was caught, like he didn't know what to do, was when you were like, okay, what's about to happen next? I don't see that in Gaethje. I actually see that in Khabib, because your stand-up isn't on a Gaethje level.
He's
Your
not gonna
stand-up is
with
not
him.
right, but Gaethje's wrestling is
Good enough to kind of neutralize. I don't know.
leagues above Conor.
To me, it is Bengals 7 or under, livable. Like, oh, okay, I
I
lost.
like that call
I can-
line, sir. I
can live
like
with
that.
That's a good call,
I like
man.
Bengals won 8 games. Good for them.
I like
Go
that.
Cincy. I can live. I can go to sleep. Fine. But I'm going to put some money on under.
Yeah, and
I
you
like
know, to be
that.
honest,
I like that.
it's Gaethje's wrestling is one of those things where you hear people talk about it, but
Why exactly?
He's
Why
saying
not?
the bangs
Why
with
haven't
people,
you seen
so I
it?
haven't seen it.
Why
right?
haven't you seen it though?
But Anderson Silva was like that, right? For a long time, Anderson Silva was like, no one wants to take him down because his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is just so sick. So we're just going to stand and fight with him. And he kept knocking people out until he was a moron and kept his hands down, and Chris Weidman knocked him out. But it was just one of those things that you never see people test him in that area. And Gaethje, I'd love to see Gaethje.
Why don't you see
intrigued
him
by
get
Gaethje,
tested?
Khabib than I am Conor Khabib or Ferguson Khabib, to be honest.
I think, and this is just my opinion. I'm no master here. I think Ferguson takes
I'm
Khabib.
no master.
I think Ferguson takes Khabib. I think.
You think Ferguson beats Khabib?
I do. I think Ferguson beats Khabib everywhere, up against the
I don't
cage,
know.
on the ground.
Every time.
standing
I
up.
think Ferguson has the capability to beat
No, I
Khabib,
think
but I think he
I think
does
it's
it
for
like
sure.
3 out of 10 times. I think
Khabib isn't knocking Ferguson out like that.
You're right. I just think he's
Khabib is
probably
knocking.
taking
I'm not
him
saying he
down
doesn't have
and
the
Yeah,
power
he's
to. He doesn't have
controlling
the
the
skill
fight.
to connect.
Right. He's GSP, like,
Yeah,
you
totally.
watch the fight and you
Total
go like,
GSP.
oh, that wasn't that bad. But then you look at the dude afterwards and he's got like 6 broken ribs and his face is fucked up. And it's
You
just
know,
like,
I
you
think he
couldn't do
beats him.
anything.
I think he beats him every
He looks like Greg Hardy's girlfriend.
every place in the ring or the cage. Now I think I think Khabib Gaethje is more of a toss-up fight where it's like it's a 50-50 fight. If I'm hedging somebody, I'm giving it to Gaethje because he has more all-around skills. You can't get anywhere. We had this conversation, Mike, last week too. You can't get anywhere being a pure wrestler. You can't get anywhere being a pure wrestler. Once again, let me repeat. You can't get anywhere being a pure
wrestler.
So
but
within the U.S., I'd say that's a fact. In Russia, wrestling over there is not
no. I don't mean in wrestling you can't be. I mean in MMA.
I mean we're talking WWE versus wrestling. A goddamn
in mixed martial arts anywhere. You can go anywhere. Name it. Brazil, Russia, wherever. In MMA, you cannot be a pure wrestler. You can't do it. You cannot do it. And Khabib is you're not a wrestler striker. You're not a wrestler.
Time for it.
I mean, he is the champ though. Like you can obviously go somewhere with it if you feel that he is a pure wrestler and doesn't have the strikes. I mean,
you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But the one thing,
it's tough, man, because I don't know that I've seen enough of Khabib striking, but he doesn't need to because he just fucking takes people down.
Right.
Exactly.
They can't get up.
But who? I mean, that's what I'm saying. You haven't fought a Gaethje yet on the ground?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, at the same time, like I was a big Hughes fan. Matt Hughes is another example of a fucking wrestler that could fucking dominate.
He got hit by a train?
Yeah.
Did he really?
He got fucking hit by a train, yeah. And he lived.
Right, because he's a wrestler, because he's tough.
Listen, I respect
He's a wrestler. Because he's a wrestler.
He's stupid.
Willpower, yeah, totally.
Yeah, he wrestled the train, huh, Mike?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
With his face.
He's the only person I've ever seen powerbomb somebody in the ring.
No, Rampage. Yeah.
Rampage, all right.
Rampage.
That's true, that's true.
Agree.
All right, he was the first person I saw powerbomb somebody in the ring.
That was a real powerbomb. He knocked a man out with a powerbomb.
Right.
Right. The dude with the dreads. Light-skinned dude.
But that was also when they didn't test for steroids in Pride. So, whatever.
What was that? I think that was in UFC.
No, it was Pride.
No, because remember he had him up against the top of the cage and he slammed him from. Pride is only ropes. He had his head up against the top of the cage, picked him up, turned around, and then slammed him down. It was the light-skinned dude with the dreads that hung down like a mushroom cut. Yep. That was
hung down like a mushroom cut.
Like he was cut on the sides.
He's a dickhead.
Right, exactly. Dreads on top. He looked like Roger from Sister. Go home, Roger. Looks like. But that was UFC. Pride is only ropes. Pride's in Japan. They don't do cage.
Steroids. I say let him take steroids.
Now they
give him a fucking weapon too. I'm okay with that.
USADA wasn't around back then, so I'm not saying that steroids wasn't in UFC.
Maybe a helmet or a sword. Or
they got that too. They got that now too. The Knights MMA.
Goodness gracious.
I'm pretty sure it was Pride though, man. You gotta look that up.
Let me see. Let me look it up.
Where's Jamie? We need a Jamie Vernon.
Jamie.
Jamie, look that shit up.
We talk about that shit every week. We need a Jamie.
We need a goddamn Jamie.
Jamie.
Oh, man. We are supposed to be getting an intern here, hopefully, if things lighten up a little around here, right?
Reggie,
right, Cliff?
Does your kid not know how to use Google yet?
Not yet.
Listen, that's
I
what
feel
we're
like
talking
that
about.
shit should be on his resume right now. He's 5.
I think we got a 16-year-old kid that we're going to bring in, right? Oh,
Some
man.
stupid college kid we can con out of hours.
Right. Hey, man, you can put this down. You were a production assistant. A PA. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hell, I'll give you producer credit. I'll give you assistant producer credit.
It was Pride.
It is multiples. This but
Nah,
the
it was
Ricardo
Pride.
Arona
You know it
so
was
you're
Pride.
talking about.
You know it was Pride. I'm looking at it. What's this fucker's name?
I just said it. Ricardo Arona, but there's
Yeah.
multiples.
Hey,
That's just one of them.
that's it.
That's just one of his power bombs.
That guy got a rock bottom in the ring, in the square
He said-
circle. Yeah. He did the whole rope elbow. Yeah, he slammed him hard.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, anybody else got anything else on the
I only
anybody
drank
else?
about a half a bottle of Sailor Jerry, so
So we got to keep
No, I
going.
don't think.
oh shit. Yeah, cameras falling off.
Oh man, now you're upside
it's
down.
You know, I don't think. No, what I did say, what I will say is, other than the last thing I will say about the UFC is the in the Dominic Cruz Henry Cejudo fight.
Oh, here we go.
It just wasn't meant for Cruz to win it, because what I noticed was when both of them throw their power shots, whether it be a hook or overhand, they tuck their head up against their shoulder. So like when they're throwing their overhand, they'll tuck their head against their opposite shoulder when they throw, and it was mirroring the images. You know what I mean?
So
Like,
they
it
were
was
doing
both-
the exact same
so-
thing kind of deal.
Exactly. So it was like Henry Cejudo was perfectly slipping every power shot Cruz was throwing just by natural style, in him being shorter. And I mean, if you watch the replay, you watched the whole fight, didn't you?
Yeah, the whole fight, start to finish. But
Yeah,
I
he
feel
did-
like I was watching the fight, and I'll be perfectly honest. I saw Dominic Cruz walk in, and I thought, man, I ain't seen this motherfucker fight since WEC, and that was like my Uriah Faber days.
Oh
What was that, like,
goodness.
years ago.
Well, he had like 2 back-to-back stoppages before he got this fight.
Well, I mean, I just feel like I haven't seen him headline. Like I watch the pay-per-views. I try to watch as many fights as possible.
But to the
honestly, I
point,
feel
there's
like
too
I
many
hadn't
fucking fights
Dominic
now.
Cruz fight in
Well,
like
see-
fucking 4 years. So I didn't
Right.
know he's still fighting.
Yeah, no, he got hurt. You're right. He had a what
Yeah.
was it? He had what 1,600 days off out of the
It's
ring?
actually, it's funny you say that, because I think the last fight that I either ordered or went and watched with you guys was Cruz. Like,
Yeah, he had 1,600 days out of the ring, but before he took this fight, he had 2 like back-to-back stoppages. That Chinese or Japanese or Asian dude. I don't even know why you even listen. Let me,
Asian American is
right. That's what I'm saying. Nowadays, I don't even know why you guess the country.
We're not talking about the guy that built the railroad here.
Listen.
wait, are they the ones that started Corona? I'm sorry, I forgot.
The Chinese virus. Everyone knows that.
Oh shit!
Oh,
Reggie, are you back to work or are you home still?
I mean, I've been working from home since like the middle of March, so.
Yeah.
And honestly, our company is starting to let people come back June 1st, but it's voluntary. So phase 1 is all voluntary. I honestly don't think I'll be back in the office till probably late July, early August at the earliest.
I know last week was don't talk about COVID, so this week I thought
So
I'd
you
ask.
can bring it up.
That shit's unreal, man. We turned our entire first floor of our parking garage into a catchment area for, to treat civilians because this was going to be fucking epic.
Right.
And we didn't see a single fucking person. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
I've been saying what I've been saying for, listen.
I don't know what this, I mean, you get one fucking doctor on TV that says, hey, this is the worst thing that ever happened. And then I work in a hospital and healthcare and I haven't seen a single person with coronavirus. So I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell's going
Like
on.
I said, I haven't seen a single confirmed case in my line of work, so I don't.
But
know.
so there's a couple of different thoughts there though. Like, it is possible that what they wanted to do worked.
Oh, stop it, Michael.
Hey,
I mean, sorry for being rational, but
I was on board with flatten the curve. You
Right.
lost me at let's continue to stay inside.
yeah,
And that
no,
was my thing, right?
and I'm with you. And you know, maybe it's because like I didn't necessarily take I took the social distancing and stay at home in terms of like don't do anything that's like superfluous, right?
Yeah.
And stay out of restaurants, stay out of bars, stay out of like entertainment venues where you've got hundreds of people gathered. Like outside of that, yeah, I'll wear the mask when I go to the grocery store, but I'm wearing the mask like 50% of the time if I go to like Turkey Hill to grab a
Right.
6-pack.
Bro,
Like
I work in healthcare. I've been going to the goddamn grocery store since it started. I've never worn a mask. I don't have coronavirus. I've never
Right.
met anyone with coronavirus. I mean, I get it. Like, I know that it's real.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
Right,
I
right.
can see it on TV and know that it's real as far as,
Right.
like, what's going on. But a nurse I work with, she's a Navy nurse, got deployed to USS Comfort in New York City,
okay.
where they had a ship set up to treat people, and they saw less than 100 patients, and most of them didn't have coronavirus. They were just being monitored to see if they had coronavirus. So, like, what
That's
the fuck are we
everybody
doing?
I've come in contact with. Is it's currently awaiting results or currently monitored for but
Now-
where is actual diagnosed
Right.
COVID? I haven't seen it.
We've had 4 or 5 where I work in terms of financial services.
lying.
It's a call center. Like there
have
have
one.
been
I've
4 or
seen
5 that have been confirmed.
Yeah.
And luckily it was confirmed after we had already. I mean, it was confirmed like a week or so after they pretty much issued the voluntary work from home for our company. And then it was confirmed like the week after that. And by then we had actually transitioned completely to work from home. So
No
we have a
joke.
company of like
I work
10,000
for-
people that are now working from home.
Right. I work for the federal government. Like, that's like for the hospital. Like, that's our deal. Was we need to prepare to see civilians because this could be
Because
catastrophic.
it could be.
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
that's what they all told us. And everyone said, well, if it doesn't become catastrophic, that means that it worked. Well, you were telling me that we were going to get millions of people, and we ended up with like only 20,000. So why can't we find a mean between the extremes?
Agree.
Right,
And
right,
come
Agree.
up with a reasonable number instead of scaring the fuck out of everybody.
But I
Right,
think, but I
right.
think
Thinking
that was the
this is
point though,
something
because
it's not.
but I think that was the point though. Like if you hadn't scared the fuck out of everybody, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to flatten the curve. At least that's my
Yeah.
take on it. Is that
Well, wait a minute.
you
though.
had to
I
go a
don't
little
think- I
too
don't think
extreme
Americans-
because. But I also never thought that it would last more than 30 to 45 days for exactly what I think you were just about to say,
Right.
T.
Right.
Because Americans aren't going to deal with that because
Yeah.
Americans
No.
don't deal with anything.
Okay, is that where you were going?
No,
Is that where you
that
were
is
going?
not
with
our
it?
line of work.
Listen, my whole thing is this though, because they've made the predictions. We've talked about it on the podcast. Maybe
Yeah.
10 years later, it's supposed to hit 2 times worse. Is this a situation where we have, on purpose, cried wolf?
I mean, it's possible.
You know
But
what
at
I
the
mean?
same
Like,
time-
if we've made this out to be something
Yeah.
so much bigger, so that when it comes back again, it's like, well, now we can say it, and they're not going to take it serious. So
Right.
we'll get a lot more people died off from.
I'll be honest. My major concern with all of this is looking at the media's impact on
Right.
civilian population.
Right.
Being able to influence them, because a lot of these morons, the only information they get is from social media or the cable news. And as much as we want to, give cable news the glory of not being social media, they're no better at this point.
They're not.
Right.
And
24-hour
the
news
information that
networks
they're
were built
passing
on the
along-
same 24-hour
It's not
news
great.
networks were built on the same philosophy as social media. It's the
Yeah.
sensationalism. It's how do you get the views? How do you get the looks?
Yeah.
How do you get the clicks? Like, it's the same
Right.
fucking
And
thing.
now they're competing with social media to
Right.
try to be the first to report, and that's never been. That's not supposed to be their game. That's
No.
not supposed to be what
They're
their
supposed to
obligation
validate
is.
and
It should be
confirm.
accuracy over
Right.
expedient reporting, and it's not that anymore. They just, and you can watch TV. I mean, when you watch something and something happens, a school shooting, and one news station reports 37 dead and the other reports 23. Well, it's either 23 or 37.
Right,
There's
it's
no difference. You can't. There's no distinguishing between someone that really died and someone that didn't. So if your numbers aren't the same,
Yeah, somebody's
whose
wrong.
facts are true.
Right. Now, it's also timing and all that. What are you gonna say, Jason? You got this conversation started. What are your thoughts? I know you're in you're in education,
poking the bear,
and
bro.
I know I've heard a lot of thoughts from my wife about it.
Hey, he carries that nice smile, doesn't he?
Doesn't he?
Just sits there with that.
Listen, you guys hit on it. I don't think that the media does itself favors when it goes to extremes. And, you know, you used to be able to rely on Walter Cronkite to sign on to the 6 o'clock news and tell you what's up. And when he said, "What the hell is going on with Vietnam?" the American public went, "Oh, Jesus,
What is going on?"
Cronkite's out on Vietnam. And then, like a week or two ago, the media reported the coronavirus has killed more people than the war in Vietnam did. And that's just a dumb. That's a dumb comparison. Like, what are you talking about? The flu does every year.
Right.
And the truth is somewhere between.
Absolutely.
Like, this isn't the flu. We need to take this seriously, but how seriously? And now this week, you know, I can't help but my contrarian spidey senses tingle when certain states have opened up and, you know, the end times haven't happened there. And now we're getting stories of there's an inflammation disease among kids that could be related to COVID-19. And you know, my wife or I walk by and the TV's on and ABC's playing and we see that story and we go, Jesus Christ, what? Oh my God. And then you learn 3 kids have died in New York.
Right.
That's terrible. And you don't want any kid to die of anything. I'm totally anti-death.
You're anti-killing children, Jason? Are you sure?
It does happen.
Now listen, now 5 years when the Killing Children crew comes on board, they're gonna cancel you for saying you're anti-killing children.
My debut has been my end. Fine, so be it. But the point is, I can't help but feel like I'm being led. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
As if the media feels we're losing them.
Right.
We need a new
angle.
Again, if the murder hornets didn't do it, nobody paid attention.
Right.
Informative murder porn.
You've heard that, if you're below 24, you have literally a better chance of getting struck by lightning than from dying of the coronavirus.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a news story.
Yeah.
It could lead to a
Protect
new
your parents,
inflammation.
protect your grandparents, protect the old people.
Right.
And you know,
so they just don't do themselves any favors. And I would love to believe them and be like, just fucking tell me.
Listen, you know what?
What is up?
To be
Tell
honest,
me what to do. I'll do it.
It's at the highest levels of government too, right? So Dr. Fauci, right? I totally understand that he's doing his job and he's doing what he's been hired to do.
And same with Amy Acton here in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, the national, the director of health, has never really been asked to be in the public spotlight, and his decisions questioned. You know what I mean?
So let me put that on you, and I don't want to get too political, but however, nobody heard about Fauci during Ebola because the Obama administration fucking dealt with it.
Right.
Sure.
So again, I don't want to get too political, but
it was just handled.
So his comments about
the buck stops here with Truman. That's a far cry from where we are with our current administration. It's I don't know. The governor.
He made a comment about football. and football was the perfect sport to spread the virus. And I thought that was so outside of his realm of expertise to say something in that manner, because there's absolutely no difference from somebody in a football pad suit playing a game versus somebody that's on a city subway in New York City.
No.
There's absolutely no distinguishing between the difference
Except-
in risk that you're experiencing.
I agree with you, except for the fact that on a subway, theoretically, you can maintain social distancing. Football, you cannot.
Well, I mean, but at the same time, if we're all concerned about testing people and the
This is
hey,
Cliff's
let's
point
test
from a
you.
couple weeks ago.
Let me test you today, and then tomorrow, if you come in contact with someone with coronavirus, it doesn't matter because I already tested you.
Right.
Like, what does testing even matter? That we're basing all of our data off of things that don't matter, like the number of people that have died from coronavirus. If we've already established that we're allowing hospitals to identify someone that died of coronavirus with not really dying of coronavirus,
Right.
and not even confirming that they had coronavirus to label that a death, so we're already using a statistic that is not good,
Right.
and not accurate. Like, why do we keep reporting those numbers? And that's what people focus on. Well, let's do testing. What does testing matter? I could test today.
Honestly,
and
the biggest
somebody
test
that has it and have it.
and the biggest testing at this point is the antibody test, and it's to get a general gauge for how much we've built up herd immunity to this thing.
Right.
And honestly, it's an after the fact thing.
Yeah.
And even still, Michael.
I can see you
I don't
phasing
know,
out
man.
down there
Even
because we've
after
had
that-
this
'cause even
conversation.
after that conversation that we had, there's a lot of articles that state otherwise. All I'm saying, all I was trying to say when we had that conversation back then, is that you can find articles.
Yeah, you can find articles to
Side.
support anything at this point.
So there's
Sure.
at no point should nobody be feeling so concrete on anything
No,
about.
nothing.
I don't want to
No.
hear anyone
Yeah.
say this is the way. No, because you're wrong.
Right.
Because everyone else is wrong. So no one needs to be saying, well, this is the way. No, because you don't know. No
Right.
one knows. Even the leaders that are studying it don't know. So I don't want to
Yeah.
hear someone talking.
No,
like
totally.
they
You're right.
know.
And
You're
if you
right.
want to stay inside, stay the fuck inside.
Yeah,
No
like,
one's
I
making you
plan-
come out of your house. Like,
You-
so what? The bar's open. You don't have to go to the bar.
This
Right.
actually made my natural state of being like socially acceptable, so I'm good with it.
Yeah.
And on that
I
note,
mean, like, open it up. The thing
with
is,
you, Reg.
the beauty of America is the choice, right? We've always had the choice to choose. If I want to choose to increase my risk of catching some disease that might kill me by going to the bar, that's my fucking choice.
I don't
as an
disagree.
American.
I don't
And
disagree.
if you've never been in a country where they don't have that choice,
Right.
you don't understand how precious
And
that
it's
option
my
is.
choice to sit my child on the swing set.
Absolutely.
Right.
You can't
It's
tell
my
me to go
choice.
anywhere.
To put
I
my
wanna
kid
do
on a
it.
four-wheeler with no helmet.
Right.
My choice.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, we might have another one
My-
joining us.
It's my choice to hit somebody with a tack hammer.
Listen. and as an American, you have that fucking choice.
That's right.
You might go jail for it, but you
But
have
he
the
has
choice.
that choice.
Right. And I think that speaks to a whole nother angle, and we could get into it next week or whenever, but the ability to understand the consequences of your choices is ultimately what's lacking in this country. We
Right.
try to safeguard our children from making bad decisions because we don't want them to suffer unnecessary consequences, when in reality, they need to suffer some consequences of their actions to understand personal responsibility.
Haven't we gone a far
Fools agree,
way
sir.
away from Harry Truman, the man who decided to use atomic weapons for the only time in human history, saying, the buck stops with me. I'll make the right decision, to pretty much
Donald Trump.
Right.
I
Right.
follow as
Could you
well.
imagine Donald Trump being in office during World War II? Jesus
Ah,
Christ.
Ah,
now, is
shit.
Dean coming on? Because if Dean's coming on, I want to hear why the Bengals are going to win 10
Yes,
games.
we're
And I'm
gonna
do it
tag
while,
team.
Oh, is he
while
Bengals
I'm
too?
peeing. Dean, make your argument.
Right, yeah. If he's Bengals too, I'm with that.
Hey, look, we can hate on the Bengals all day. And I'm going to be perfectly fucking honest. I told you guys, I had to go back and delete a bunch of tweets that I sent to the Bengals front office earlier this
Keen
year
in this
because,
bitch.
one, I thought if I ever run for political office, this isn't going to be acceptable. And two, I really need to dial it back because I think I've lost their attention.
They've actually muted and blocked you already. You just don't know it.
Totally.
No, I'm
But
listening.
we
You've
don't
been
do
blocked
shit
by the
ever.
official Bengals
Alright.
account.
We don't do shit ever. So if we do anything, we signed Trey Waynes, bro. We didn't sign some lockdown corner that's gonna be there for another 6 years. We signed somebody that's mediocre to replace another guy that's fucking mediocre. But I'm excited about it because we signed somebody. We don't do that shit.
Dean, where'd your
do
video
not
go?
do that.
Come back.
Hold on, give me a second.
And do it in
Got
horizontal
the thing
mode and not portrait, you
Yeah,
dummy.
Dean, quit fucking this up. It was smooth
Turn
until
your-
you got in here.
Turn your phone sideways.
Dude, this is my first. All right, give me a
It's
second.
It's your first time you're a virgin.
All right.
Me too.
Yeah, it's my first Zoom meeting, man. I don't do a shit, man.
I was in the same boat. I can't talk shit.
Yeah, this
Maybe-
motherfucker
maybe
is
it's a-
podcast and he's 30
Maybe it's
minutes
a race
late.
thing. Maybe it's a race
Yeah.
thing. Maybe black folks don't know Zoom.
Hey, this is
Skype.
Chris' podcast and I was on it before him.
Hey, that's the last couple guests.
Right? No
You
doubt.
must not have watched this yet.
He said, I don't know where my guy's at. He'll be on soon, but we'll go ahead and get started.
All right.
All right. So
You gotta wait.
I don't
till
think. Oh,
Jason. Hey, Dean, you gotta wait till Jason gets back, and then you need to explain to him why we're gonna win more than 8 games.
Jason's doing the
5.5.
dishes.
Well, Jason's like at 5.5, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm at 8.
I give you more than 5.5.
There he
No
is.
hating.
no, the schedule is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
So
Browns,
this is where I
those
feel
are both
the
wins.
Bengals are going to be
Washington,
better than they were last year. It's not
Dean,
to win.
Dean, you're
The
on.
funny thing is, I thought I put it in the group chat.
You're
All right. So
But you
healthy
would
AJ
hop up.
Green. Bengals record with that healthy AJ Green is at 60% win percentage. Right. So that game's right there. Actually, no. They plays 12. They're going to be a better team than they were last year. They get 2 first-round picks that they didn't have last year. So they get Jonah
with a
Williams
rookie.
and they get Joe. Let's be honest. 2015 will hold a special place in my heart.
These
When Andy
breaking up
Dalton
on
was
my end.
a top 3 or top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Oh, am I fucking up?
No, not too bad, but every now and then you'll cut out a bit.
It's mostly your Bengals are going to be good argument that's breaking everything.
Now you good
That's
though,
where
bro.
we lost you.
I wanted to hear what
I
you were
didn't-
talking about.
I'm not strong as Shrine on that. I'm not as strong as Shrine on that, but
Oh, Dean,
they're gonna have 2 first-round
don't
picks that
shift
didn't play
it.
last year.
don't shift it.
I said that in the chat. I put that in the chat. Man.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie.
Dean,
That's in my text messages.
Dean.
I don't think they get to 10 unless something crazy happens. Yeah.
Do
Super
they get
Bowl.
to 6?
Fuck you, Michael.
Super Bowl.
Fuck you, Michael.
Hey,
Fuck you.
That schedule's
Continue, Dean.
ridiculous. That schedule's ridiculous. That's a tough schedule.
I'm done with his ass.
I
hey,
want a 30 for 30 with that guy. For
Hey.
sure.
Hey.
What is he at?
how great has that shit been?
Awesome.
Ah, it's so nostalgic, right? Like watching.
Well, guys,
the-
What did I miss? What are we talking? Are we going
the
into the last
McDonald's
dance?
cup.
No.
Maybe you should have been around. Fuck
I had to
face.
piss.
we're talking about.
My
I
turn to
brought up the
piss.
dude from the Last Dance, the security guard from the Bulls office.
See, we're looking to talk about Last Dance next week, and I haven't seen it yet. So
All right, my bad, Reggie. I didn't.
You
mean to
haven't,
jump on
you
you.
haven't, Mike. You haven't seen any of it.
no, because I've been waiting. I'm just gonna binge it all at once.
It's so fucking good, man.
I agree. With no
right.
spoilers, it has
Spoilers!
It has exceeded expectations. Right. spoiler alert.
Yeah.
They win. They win.
right.
I
But-
mean, even if you're not a basketball fan, like I was saying, the
It's-
nostalgia behind like the things that the dream team and the cups and like, it's just, it brings back for me memories that I didn't even realize.
Remember
that
that
I
you
still
had, yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Like watching Jordan hit shots that I remember watching, but I like completely forgot that was a part of my life.
Now, see, that wasn't my thing. Like at that
It's
point, that was
crazy.
before I played sports. Really, like I was watching the Star Trek: The Next Generation
Hey,
rather
I
than
don't
basketball
remember Happy
games.
Meals. Everyone got Happy Meals.
Yes,
I
true.
can
that's
remember being in my bed watching a replay of the 91 the layup versus the Lakers where he went up with the right and then
Yeah.
switched to the left. And
Left.
I didn't see it happen live, but I woke up and like saw that, I fell asleep on the
Yeah.
couch and saw the replay of the TV and the announcers just talking like, what the hell? Like, how did he do this? And for your point, Strine, of just the nostalgia of bringing
Yeah.
all back the Paxson 3 against the
Yeah.
Suns, where like for no reason other than
Yeah.
being in third grade and being a front runner, like I jumped off the couch like, oh,
Yeah.
the Bulls won.
Right.
Like, oh, it's awesome.
Everyone was a Bulls fan. Everyone.
Right.
You
Yeah,
had to be.
It's awesome.
Y'all were.
I've
It's
loved
good.
it.
It's really good. And the guys that did it, the music that they put to it and everything is just, it's on point.
I mean, don't get me
like,
wrong. Like, I'm looking forward to watching it. It's just like Cliff and I talked
and
about it
even you as
earlier this
somebody
week.
that I could tell that's probably not a basketball guy.
Yeah,
You're gonna still fucking love
I'll
it.
like it. All right,
talking
good shit.
about?
It
We're
just makes you
wrapping up the
respect
last
that era
dance.
of basketball so much more.
You know what?
And you look at basketball today in such a different light. It's
Yeah.
such a different game today than it was back then.
It
You know,
is.
people like shine lights on the very small fights and shit that happened today. These motherfuckers were beating the hell out of each
Oh,
other.
Right.
no doubt.
And they let you swing a
Yeah.
few times before
Yeah.
they stopped everything.
And that
You
was
know
part of the game.
That brings up a funny conversation as they were talking about it on the Fighter and the Kid podcast. They said, now why is it in baseball and hockey is it that fighting is just glorified, but in basketball and football,
condemned.
any
Yeah.
fight
It's condemned,
throws
yeah.
For sure.
one elbow, it's like you're suspended for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
What the fuck is that about?
yeah.
Well,
I
for
mean,
football, it's
these are
because
elite level competitors, man.
right.
You know what I mean?
Football shouldn't be shit.
That's a different
You're wearing
conversation.
pads. You're wearing pads. I should be able to punch wherever, and it shouldn't matter. You're
I
wearing
should be able to
pads.
have a spear and a fucking shield.
Right.
Fucking-
No, I'm
and a
I'm not saying like in the rules, but I'm saying I shouldn't be suspended. I probably hurt my fist more than I hurt you. And
Right.
you're gonna suspend me for a year. Meanwhile, in hockey,
But
I
that's
can-
it's all PR, man. Like
Yep.
that's litigation and public relations, and it's that
David
football.
Stern.
It's that
David
football
fucking
and basketball already has to deal with the fact that it's a bunch of brothers playing, right?
add
I mean,
some
that's the
Sparta-
reason.
Add some Sparta kicks to the
Hey.
front row, and I guarantee you
This
that the
is
motherfucking
Sparta!
shit would ride.
If the NFL players would stop fucking beating their wives and doing dumb shit in the off season,
They could get away. They could get away with some. We could get away
Well,
with some
listen.
fights on the field if
Let's
they
not
stop
act
beating
like
people off the field.
let's not act like they're not beating their
Yeah.
wives in hockey and
Hey.
baseball either.
Hey,
It's just,
well, totally.
Baseball
But
players aren't beating anybody. Let's be
there's just-
serious.
Look, NFL's the big earner, right? NFL's always going to be the big daddy. And when you get a guy that's 300 pounds and you see him punching a chick that's 110 pounds, it just doesn't look good.
Right.
Right?
True.
If an NBA guy does it and he's a point guard and he's 180 pounds, it's the visual
But
context.
he's-
of that
but he's still
is just
6'4".
very different.
That's why he's getting away with. I mean, that's why he's not getting
Yeah,
away with because he's
totally.
still 6'4", 6'5". When you get a
Totally.
baseball player who's 5'10" doing it, it
Yeah.
doesn't look so
Wait,
bad.
Wait. I'm looking at like a Mark McGuire who's like 6'2" and some change
Winnie
on
D?
steroids. What are we talking
Winnie
about?
D
here?
or Winnie
Like,
V.
a lot of the baseball play, we're not talking about little guys on the baseball field now.
Most of them
Well,
are
I
though.
just think domestic abuse is more of an NFL thing than an MLB.
Because it's more so tossed out that way.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, statistically, it's gonna happen. In
Yeah,
every
either
sport.
Right.
Look,
This is
MLB has 162 games a year, so that's 162 chances that he's not beating his wife. All right. Verse 16 on the NFL front.
I will give you.
All right.
that.
All
I'll give
right.
you that.
It's just it comes down to numbers.
You swayed me. I'm
It's all
swayed.
numbers.
It's just a numbers
I'm
thing.
swayed, son. You got me on that. I'll give you
Dean.
that one.
Dean,
Yeah.
Bengals don't get to 5 wins, right?
Manage your expectations.
They get to 5.
5? Do they get to 6?
They get to 5.
Oh shit! I fucking listen.
Dean,
I
don't
like
entertain this
episode.
fucking guy. All right, we're getting 7. all
I'm
right?
with Jay.
Don't
I-
back
We
down,
stand with
Dean.
Jay.
Don't back
6.
down.
They get to
7.
6.
We stand with Jay. I'm gonna have a regular one next week. We stand with Jay. Bengals don't get, and it's gonna be
Bengals
tight
down.
as
It's just
striped
gonna be a
ribbon.
Bengals and a thumbs down emoji, and it
It's gonna
says
be
"We
a tight-
stand
a
with
tight
Jay."
and striped
Like
ribbon.
Dean
We
Saunders
stand with Jay.
Or another fan that will call for 7 wins.
Yeah. I have to look at the schedule again before.
Motherfucker, you
What have you been
texted
doing?
the schedule to everyone. You
Let him
sent
podcast
everyone the schedule.
Unprepared. This is his first
All
and
right.
last time.
Oh,
Dean's
wow.
about to get kicked off. 1, because his audio and video quality is trash, and 2, because he
Oh,
wasn't
God.
prepared.
Wait. Continue.
What are you using, Jason?
They get to 7. They get to 7.
Solid.
How do they get to 7?
7?
They
Yeah.
get to 7. They get to 7.
Easily.
That's me homering, but they get to 7.
I
feel
got
like
$100 right now, Jason, that the Bengals get 7 wins. You want that?
7.
7.
It is on the
wanna make-
record on Do Fools Agree, episode 17. Remember
Yep.
this at the end of the
That was on
season.
Jay.
Don't
That
back
was a
down.
shake.
Don't
That
back
was a
down.
shake right there.
7 wins.
That was a virtual shake.
Agreed.
If they get 7,
Under
I
7.
win.
Fools agree.
Under
No. If you get 7, it's a push.
Okay, I'm just
Fools
clarifying terms.
agree.
If you want to make it 6.5, 7.5, then we gotta talk. Because
Let's
then
go
there's
7.
a winner.
We'll go 7. We'll do a push
So
at 7.
7's a push. More than 8 is a win for you.
Joey Burrow,
6 or
baby.
below.
Joey Burrow.
Cheers.
Yep.
Now, 100.
Now what's
Are you
Wait, what are the
wanna
terms?
go double
I
or
step
nothing?
back.
You
I
want to go
said
double
big
or
money.
nothing
Let
on
me
the
step
Browns?
back, baby.
Let's go through the Browns schedule. Let's see here.
Uh-oh. Browns schedule. Here we go.
Well, I might want some action.
Week 1, playing the Steelers. Our best player is going to try to kill somebody again.
Let me get the over-under first. I'm going to bet the over-under is
6.5.
8. Ugh.
Hey, how great's that fucking guy on The Last Dance, though? That security guard with the Jerry curl?
Phenomenal.
I haven't seen him.
I mean,
Browns are 8.5.
Security
over-under.
guard on The Last Dance.
8.5.
8.5.
You think they're going to win 8 games?
No. After looking at the schedule, I don't. So let's,
I mean, you guys are playing the same guys we're playing.
Right, I was about to say.
Listen, Vegas had the Browns with the best defense last year. So,
Hey,
not
speaking
saying
of
that-
Vegas, I was out there for the UFC fights, Adesanya against Yoel Romero.
Uh-huh.
In that fucking stadium, if your team's ever playing out there,
T-Mobile.
dude, it's fucking bad.
Is it?
Listen, I'm a
T-Mobile's
Raider.
legit.
I'm a Raider.
Cliff,
The Raiders stadium that they're building out there is fucking bad.
I'm a Raider.
When the
I hope they
NFL
leave Carr in Oakland, but I'm a Raider.
if the
I'm telling you
NFL
right
plays
now-
this year, Cliff,
You can see it right from the highway, and it's like a fucking black.
Let's do it, Mike.
If the NFL plays
I'll
in
go
spring
out
this
there.
year, Cliff, you
It's
and me are
fucking
going.
Sick, dude. You can
Yeah,
see
no,
it from
and
the
we'll
highway, it
and
just
we'll
looks badass.
record it and we'll do a podcast about it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
I'll go.
We'll do it
Let's
live
do
from
it.
the hotel.
We can do that.
Yes, Jason's in too.
Let's go. Let's play
Man.
it. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm in.
All you gotta do is
As
let me
long as we're not
know.
watching the Browns play, I'm good.
Stop it. I don't mind. I don't mind the Browns.
Here you go,
That's
Shrine.
my second.
At Baltimore, loss. Home versus Cincinnati, win.
Toss up.
Home versus the Redskins.
Wait. What did we say about it before?
We did a home and home
Yeah,
split.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Cincy won at home,
All right.
Browns won. Yeah.
Right.
All right, so we'll
So,
split that. That's fair.
Home versus the Redskins, win. So we're at 2.
Yeah.
At Dallas, loss.
Loss.
Home versus Indy,
Loss. Loss.
not a
If you're
toss
gonna,
up.
if you're gonna
Fine.
mark that as a loss against the Bengals, you gotta mark it as a loss against the Browns.
I gave
No,
you a
I
toss
can't.
up, but fine.
Okay.
Loss. At Pittsburgh, loss. At Cincy, I'm going to
Win.
go
All right,
toss
we'll
up.
go either way.
So we're at 2.5.
Sure.
It is
Home-
motherfucking
home versus-
comeback.
Home versus the Raiders.
Win.
Oh,
Win.
Oh no. Oh no.
I don't
We
think the
coming
Raiders
this
got
year.
it.
Oh, we're coming
I'm
this
sorry,
year.
Cliff.
We're at 3.
We're
Toss.
coming this year.
Home versus Houston, loss. Home versus Philly, loss. At
Oh,
Jacksonville,
I got a jersey plug too, by the way, fellas.
toss up, 3.5.
Yeah.
At Tennessee, loss. Home versus Baltimore, loss.
Loss.
At New York, the Giants,
Yeah.
fine,
I'll give
win.
you that.
4.5. At the Jets, win. 5.5. Home versus Pittsburgh,
Loss.
toss up. They get to 6 max. They're at 8.5. I'm telling you, if Baker doesn't start off strong, they will replace him with Case Keenum. They will win 6 games, and
And that'll be it. Yeah.
right.
Cliff, sell me on your Raiders.
Listen, I can't sell you a Derek Carr. You gotta get him out of there.
But Green, man,
I'd be willing to take Lynn Bias Jr. at quarterback over Derek Carr. You know what I'm saying?
To be honest, man, I think he got fucked because Antonio Brown shouldn't have been such a cocksucker. If he would have stuck it out there, I think he could have done some productive work.
But let's not act like you haven't had weapons.
Right. But listen, let's put Antonio Brown on the outside, and you got Waller at tight end, and then you throw in any decent running back and Renfro or somebody at a slot receiver, Ty Williams at a slot receiver, or on the other side. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to move the ball. They got fucked by Antonio Brown.
Bro, you had Amari Cooper, bro. You had Amari Cooper. Shut the fuck up. You had, and I don't mean you. Shut the fuck. I mean Raiders. Shut the fuck up. You had Amari Cooper. Stop it.
Cliff, you
Derek
got to do me a
Carr.
favor and look where your
Get
face
rid of
is on the
Derek
screen.
Carr. Leave
All
him
right.
at the airport.
Yep.
He's
I'm
like
with
his.
you.
He's like his brother. Like, don't get me wrong. He has.
He's
seasons.
better than his brother, but he's
He
still
is
not
better.
good.
He's better than his brother. He is better than his brother, but he's like his brother.
Yeah. So what do you think of Gruden and his boy Mayock? What do you think of them motherfuckers? Do you think they're doing the real deal? Because they drafted a lot of them Clemson motherfuckers, and not a single one could stay on sides. I think that's probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 games, and I watched those motherfuckers jump off sides every goddamn game, and I thought, who the fuck is coaching these people?
Oh, I like that. I like that in you.
Obviously not Coach Reggie.
Yeah, no. If anything, we're gonna be on side.
Right.
Listen, they be running on draft day. No,
Yeah,
you're not done
totally.
yet, sir. Continue running until they call you up the stage.
So they hear the
Relax.
whistle. Keep fucking moving.
listen, the AFC West is set for the next. You want to call it decade? I mean, Mahomes,
Probably. That's the next.
KC,
That's the
like,
next. Yeah, that's the
It's
next
always
debate.
There
bad
it
for
is.
us.
And then Denver, LA.
It's always bad for
us. You
Not
have a
only is it-
unique. position being in Las Vegas.
Right.
True.
And I wish that Hard Knocks were following them this year, not
Right. Right.
when they moved to Las Vegas. That would have been exciting.
entertaining.
Come
Yeah.
on.
But
Come
how do you overtake Mahomes, bar an injury? Like, hopefully he gets hurt. It's the
It's gonna
AFC
come
East
down to
with
defense.
Brady.
It's just gonna come
In my
down
mind.
to defense.
Even that, like,
I don't think he
KC
helped
ain't
getting rid of Mac.
right. I think Mayock and Gruden have done a good job drafting. I just don't think it matters.
They're
Like, it
offensive.
just doesn't matter.
Now, what I will say is this: as much as I could not stand Al Davis, when he was in there, he always had like a ringer pick that was like, oh shit, I didn't think that was going to pan out, but Al kind of knew that was going to work.
Right.
We don't have that anymore.
Right.
We don't have that anymore. It's just like they're just like picking. I can't even guess, but we don't have that Al pick anymore.
The game of football has changed quite a bit,
Right.
and when you look at college right now, especially with this coronavirus shit, and they're talking about the Pac-12 saying they're not going to play at all, and that's a lot of money.
Pac-12 said they're not playing at all.
Yeah, so
California's closed.
yeah, the California schools have said that
They're
they will
closed
not
until
allow
September,
college
right?
football to come back unless students are allowed on campus, and they've already said they're not allowing students
Which
on
is
campus.
Okay.
Which is
I
what
can
you should
understand
do.
that. Yeah, I can understand that.
And honestly, what I think the NCAA is going to be looking at the same thing high schools are looking at, is do you move it to the spring with the hope that
I can
Listen.
understand that.
I am willing to bet as much as I did on Bengals under 7 on the
They're not
SEC.
heavy. Not
the
heavy.
I like Jay now. He's
The
connected.
SEC schools will play football this fall.
In
the
fall.
Oh, you know they
Unless
will.
the
Oh, you
SEC
know they
those
will.
people will burn senators, governors, whatever it is, at the stake. They will play football.
So where,
The
but
SEC, it's going to happen.
but the
They'll do it
NCAA is
without the
located
Pac-12.
where? Like
Yes, it
NCAA
doesn't matter.
headquarters
Yeah,
is
they
located
will.
where?
You know they will.
They will,
They
do
will
it on
for
their
sure.
own.
Right.
The SEC 3:30
We
game on
agree on that,
CBS
sir.
will be on, and I'll
And
feel
it'll be-
good,
it'll
and
be-
da, 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 da,
So
da,
they'll
will happen.
play the SEC will play
100%. The SEC will play.
SEC in what, like conference is Conference USA still a thing, like
I
big
think
or the
Big
Big
Ten will
East
play. I mean, the Wisconsin State Supreme Court
were the
struck
ones that
down the
just
governor's
overturned,
order.
yeah.
Like, that's Wisconsin. That's one of the most.
the problem
liberal
is
states
that
in
you
the
got
Big
New
Ten.
Jersey,
Like,
you've got Syracuse and Maryland and
the Big Ten will play
without
their
those
football
teams
season without Rutgers.
without
We're going
Rutgers.
back to 2012. Rutgers, Maryland, you're not in.
Who's talking shit?
You're not in. You're not in. Goodbye.
Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. You guys play a round robin. You
That's
determine
it. That's
the champion.
Well,
And-
Nebraska,
to be honest,
Wisconsin.
they're just rolling out this whole ordeal about paying college players for their likeness, and what
Right.
better time to roll out a whole fucking remodel of everything
Segue. That was a perfect
than right
segue.
now, right? Like
Shout out to the
change
NBA.
it all. Change
Shout out to the NBA for
Yes.
allowing the top-ranked people to be able to bypass college and go to the G League for a year.
Sure.
That
Change
is
it all.
the biggest thing. I feel like that
Bring
is
college football
listen,
back on Xbox.
NCAA.
No doubt. That's all I want from. That's all I want from college
That's
players
all I
being able to
want.
be paid for their
I wanna
likeness
be
as
able
the
to recruit
NCAA.
motherfuckers, 5 stars.
You talking about the
I
game?
wanna
Yes,
have
bring
a
back
rock-
NCAA football 2020.
Fools agree. And you know what? It's
Fuck
funny that
Madden.
you
I
said
want
that,
college
Steve.
football
Yeah.
back.
I had that written down that that's the only thing I liked about NCAA was college football.
Right, because that was the only game. That's the only game where you can run the option effectively.
Unless you got Lamar Jackson.
Listen,
On Madden,
I
you
just
can
feel
run
like-
it with Lamar.
I feel like
He's 99 speed.
You can't run it with Tyrod. I'll tell you that.
No, he's an 88 speed.
Right.
You cannot do
you can
that.
run it with Tyrod.
No,
you
Oh,
can't.
the
Lying
Virginia
Cliff?
Tech?
Well,
Flying Cliff?
no, we're talking
Listen.
about Madden.
Oh.
Madden. You can't run
Oh, okay.
option effectively.
I was about to say NCAA.
I'm with you.
No,
I'm with you
Tyrod
on
Tyrod Taylor
NCAA.
went
That's
from
what I
NCAA
said.
being a 93 speed to NFL being a 78 speed.
The
Oh,
best
okay.
was
doesn't work.
the year Maurice Claret was playing, which that's my other inadvertent thought for the week. The year Maurice, so what was that? 2002.
Yeah.
Maurice Claret wasn't even the starter in NCAA. Like you had to, to move him up,
13.
and he
You're
would
right.
still
You
run
are
over
right.
motherfuckers. Like
You are absolutely
So how
right.
much do you guys miss that game?
I miss it. So that was the only.
I'm not gonna
I
tell
hate
you.
Madden.
I'm not
I
gonna-
hate Madden.
Listen, if
I hate it.
said it on camera, I might incriminate myself, but I could have had to pay taxes in how much money I made off that game.
Betting off of NCAA.
Well,
I hear
man,
you. I hear
I
you.
could have had to, like, over thousands of dollars I made betting off that game. No joke.
So-
like at least $2,000-$3,000 betting on that game.
So, Strine, to your point, players are going to be able to be paid off of their likeness. Like, does Jim Tressel get his job back?
No.
They're trading
Right.
Australia for fucking tattoos.
Right.
And here we are finally acknowledging, like, these players are generating, I don't know, billions
fucking
of
stupid.
dollars for
Dude,
these
I agree.
universities.
Who's agreed?
Here-
This
here's
dude got fired over
agreed.
players
But
trading.
the flip side of it is
tattoos. Like, get the
It's
fuck
it's
out of
unbelievable.
here.
We have to find a mean between the extremes, right?
Right.
We've got this fucking program this machine that's Ohio State that's making billions of dollars a year,
Right.
not only for the university but for the athletics programs.
But Shrine, they get a communications degree.
But they get to go to
They
school
wouldn't be
for
able to
two
get
and a
that
half years. Not to mention most of them
outta
out
here.
of college, not at a college level. So the first year of courses are like
are remedial
supplemental to their
anyways,
college
right?
to fucking degree.
You did
Yeah.
it, Mike. You did it this week, Mike.
I tried.
Tell me
You
this.
did it this week, Mike.
I mean, I thought
got
T
two
and
good
J would be good
ones.
ads.
I
So
got two good ones.
Why do universities not have a degree that Division I scholarship athletes can obtain that is in like being a professional athlete, right?
right.
Like, let's
Right.
teach these kids
Personal
how to manage
finance.
money.
Right.
Let's teach them what goes into professional
Manage their
contracts.
life,
Right.
right?
Let's teach them
Something
how to
useful.
fucking look at your taxes and understand the numbers that go into
You're
paying your
absolutely
agent
right.
and all this. Like, how have you not offered that as
The
a
problem
degree
is that
to
requires
pull
math.
people in, to pull athletes in and say, hey,
Fuck up,
we're
Michael.
gonna train you how to
You
fucking
shut
be
the fuck
a
up, Michael.
professional athlete.
They don't
right?
learn math till after that.
I tell you what, all the Division III athletes all majored in business for exactly that reason.
Hey, you fucking nerds at Carnegie Mellon, you know
Cliff,
we can't
I see
hang
you
with
over there.
that
Fuck
fucking
you, dude.
shit.
What happened? What did you just
I
throw
slammed the
us?
table and my fucking thing fell off. I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I drank a half a bottle of Sailor Jerry.
Well,
What
there
do
you
want
go.
me to do?
I mean, it was a good
Listen.
night.
What do you want me to
We're with you, sir. We're with you, sir.
Hey, this has been real, but we're at about 2.5 hours.
Are we really?
We are for real.
Great.
Well, Cliff, you're only at like 2.
Yeah. You
Right.
could have been on here for 45 minutes, motherfucker.
But I will say, I think the next time we got a UFC thing going on, or I mean, I don't know how you guys are good with boxing, but I think the next time we have a more sports-centric show, I'd love to invite you both back on. This was real. It was fun. I was glad to kind of get this crew back together. These are two dudes that I coached with in the past, so I'm always a fan of that. Cliff, you good with that?
You're family now. You're family now, fellas.
They are part of the
Might not have
Foolproof
a
Entertainment
private school
Network.
Education, but I'm here.
This guy.
And I mean, anytime we decide to do a spin-off, or if we do, hey, Cliff and I have been talking about expanding and doing like a spin-off show anyway. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll keep you guys in mind, and we appreciate you coming on this week. You guys have any closing thoughts? T, you got anything to close us out?
I would just appreciate it if Cliff could be more punctual.
Me too. Me too. Hashtag me
That's
too.
all. If I need to set his alarm for him or call him,
Listen, on life.
why
Time out.
I know coronavirus has our sleep schedules all sorts of fucked up.
How many missed calls do you have from me?
Time out. Oh, missed calls. Let's see. 6.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And he didn't answer a single fucking one.
Time out, though. Let's see this, because I want y'all to see this. I don't know if this is...
You taking too long. Jason, you got anything?
No. It's not even set.
No, of course it's not.
It's 7:30 a.m. bro.
No,
It's the 8:50 p.m. below it that's not set.
Even set. It wasn't even on.
Yeah.
I turned it on, though.
Uh-huh.
So,
That's what my wife said
age
when she
set
missed
that
her
alarm.
staff meeting the other day.
But I could have did this real quick and be like, look at that.
Right, but you owned
But
up
I
to it.
didn't.
You owned up to it.
Listen.
Jason, you got anything?
Just that I'm
Bengals.
really
That the
well,
Bengals will get
Bengal-
7.5
Bengals
wins.
under 7, and really honored to be a part of this. And I really admire what Mike and Cliff, you guys have started, and
What's up?
to be the the history teacher, to throw out the Teddy Roosevelt quote about the it's not the critic who counts, but the man in the arena who's actually stepping in. That's who the credit belongs to. You guys are actually doing this and trying this and talking weekly, and I just I really
Teddy,
admire it.
The original big country.
That's the original big country, Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I just
It's the original.
Greg Ostertag got his nickname
admirable.
from Teddy Roosevelt.
I appreciate it,
Right,
Jason. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cliff and I talked about it early on.
Bro.
For those
I
that don't know,
appreciate that
Jason
too.
was the first one to kind of donate to the program, so we appreciate it.
And I appreciate you not going into detail about Mike's bachelor party.
I gotta stop hanging out with
Maybe
you motherfuckers.
Maybe another episode.
Maybe another
And
episode.
and Coach T, you are right.
I
Or
That's-
it,
that's
it
an-
may seem like we may
That's
get
an
in
after
trouble.
dark.
Bengals.
That's an after
Eight-
show.
8
After show.
wins,
That's on the
baby, 8
Patreon.
wins.
When we
Let's
set up the
go.
Patreon.
I'm
I
gonna
love
set
y'all.
up a
I love
fans-only
everybody.
account.
Love everybody. And be safe. Shit, I don't know.
Be safe out there. Agree. Check out Sailor
everybody.
Jerry, the official sponsor of Coach T
Of the Bengals.
of the Bengals. I am Michael Reggie. I want to
Of the
thank everybody
Bengals.
for joining us tonight.
8.5 wins.
The Bengals getting 5 wins. And check us out at foolproof.live. And then like, subscribe, all that good shit. Share the video. If you guys enjoy what you're hearing, if you want to be on, and
I'll be on time
Cliff
next
or I,
week.
yeah,
He
bullshit.
ain't gonna be on
And
time. I can tell already.
and if you're down with that, give Cliff or I a call, and we're starting to open it up a little bit, especially
Don't call
while we're in
me.
this coronavirus stuff. So
Call me.
appreciate
I
it,
won't answer, I'll
and
be asleep.
Cliff, and Cliff's got to go to bed, so y'all take it easy. All right, appreciate it. Goodbye.
Are we still on?
Sorta. Streamlabs froze up on me. I don't know what the fuck happened. close it out.